Brother James, thank you for joining me. It is hot under these dang lights. Okay. That's acceptable. Oops, didn't even turn them on all on. Just warmer in this part of my apartment, I guess. Thank you for joining me, James. Well, welcome everybody. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host. Eight Wind is timeless. And I wonder if I open up those windows would my allergies start coming, but it looks like they are. But anyway, it all starts with a gentle sadness. I am the holder of the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins. I am the Galactic Daddy-O, sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And we would like to thank Lurkingware for the gear, and we would like to thank Wonderland Brewing, who calls their Wonderland, or Sierra Nevada, who calls their Wonderland the Nectar Ale. Most people would call it Hazy IP. Hey, Jason, thank you for joining me. I guess I didn't wash this glass as clean as I thought it was. A little haze on there. I'd be like, man, who are you drinking that nasty glass? It's hair in here. What that is. I'm going to drink it regardless because alcohol kills almost everything. Oh, let me tell you, I took a beating today. I'd even looked at my brackets. I missed the first game because I didn't realize it came on 11 my time. Last night, I did not go to bed till 4 in the morning. So, I didn't get up until 11:30, 12, if that. Might have even been later. I was waiting for my daughter to come, but she didn't come as early as I anticipated. I knew that would wake me up. So when I turned the game on for Illinois, it was 50 seconds left. And then, of course, I got a ton of calls. Like, didn't you pick Illinois? Didn't you pick Illinois? I mean, just everybody and their mama's calling me today. So I'm kind of sick of people. But I've been getting calls like that all day. So it's okay. It's okay. I am man enough to stand on my own. It didn't work for those teams, and that's okay. I mean, it's that's why you just say you do your prediction. I lost money on the Illinois game, but all the other games I still made money because there's part of betting that you can still win. What do you think about all the NBA? What do you think about all the NBA stars dropping? Be more specific. Dropping like what? I won big today. Win. Arkansas, Oral Roberts, Oregon State. I won 1,100. What a day! Good for you. Good for you. I haven't even looked. But in my parlay, I still trying to think. I still Still didn't do too bad. Didn't win, like Illinois hurt, but didn't really lose a lot. And I'll say this: I really like Baylor all year, and even though I picked Ohio State over Baylor, I still have liked Baylor. I love their program. Yeah, I put Wisconsin to beat them. I just thought that Wisconsin played a little tougher schedule than Baylor did, but I was wrong, and they handled them. Still going with. I thought Purdue would beat Villanova, so that knocked me out. I believe Arkansas won, didn't they? Didn't Arkansas win? Yeah, won with Arkansas. Won with Arkansas today. I'm trying to think who else did I win with. And, I did not see the 63 Loyola connection. I did not see the 63 Loyola connection. I'm trying to think here's who else. Oh, yeah. I did win with Oregon State. Yes, I did. Won with Oregon State, right? The freak on. Lost there. Let's see. And what is this? Rutgers. Won with Houston. Houston is still keeping me a little bit in the money. Didn't Houston win? Mr. T Gaming, injury. Oh, okay. More people got hurt today, Jason. I always thought that Durant's injury and the big fella that plays for the Lakers, Anthony or whatever his name is, I think it's Anthony. I always thought their injuries were paralleled. I doubt either one of them is really hurt like they're saying. But it's a way to let other people in. Yeah, James. So I won with Houston today too. So it's a way to get other people in there. And so that's the biggest thing is when you show these injuries, other people supposedly going to step up. So we'll see if that happens or not. But yeah, I got Houston, so I still won a little money today. So it's not bad as I thought. I was like scared to look at it, but it's not as bad because again I did have Arkansas and I had Houston, so not as bad as what I thought. But I just thought that Baylor I just thought Wisconsin would play better, and they did not play better. But again, a lot of the games is following the same type of script. You can see some of the calls in the first half, and it just lets you know. And that seems to be the thing. If you look at how the first half is called, if one team is getting more charges when they were very close plays, you kind of give you an idea of how the rest of the game is going to go. But I watched all the rest of the games. I missed the first game, but I watched the rest of the games. I am a sports fan, but the manipulated shots just haven't stopped. And I'll say this. Since they're playing in Indianapolis, they are using the pro system of manipulating. Because, again, when you see that ball going through the net and doing that kind of thing, that's the NBA. And the other thing that makes me think it's NBA system, and, again, they are in Indianapolis, the other thing that makes me think it's the NBA system is the sound. We are not hearing the college sound. The college sound of manipulation is a lot louder than the NBA system. So they're using NBA rims. They're using the NBA manipulation system. And the one shot that I showed, the ball is going in the air and the ball like just flutters to the right. Now, if I throw a ball straight, it's going to go straight until it loses momentum. It is not going to go to the air and then switch a couple inches to the right. That's just impossible. Hey, King Kane, if the NFL was legit this season, who are the two teams you think would have been the Super Bowl this past year? I still thought Kansas City was going to make it. I'm trying to think who else in the NFC. My mind is you put me on the spot, so my mind is responding very slow. But if it was legit, I don't think that Brady and them would have went, other than they had a decent defense. So I still thought Mahomes. You'd have to remind me who was in the NFC Championship game that Brady beat. But, yeah, I think we look more to next win. Hey, Preston, thank you for joining. It's like every team that plays out of the Harlem Globetrotters. It's like every team takes a play out of – well, that handoff play. a lot of teams are still running that top action with the handoff play. And this is the funny thing they said about the Baylor game. Again, I only watched the last 50 seconds. I stayed up till 4. I didn't wake up until probably 12:30, I'm thinking. And it was 50 seconds left of the game. But they were saying that the big slow dude they showed from Loyola was the reason why they wasn't able to make their plays in the middle. And I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. You got that big slow dude. That dude was big and slow. And I'm just looking – I don't know. And then I caught a lot of plays too where it's like, why aren't you doubling this slow dude? That was the other thing about that game. That big slow dude, no one came to doubling. And so, again, I only saw highlights. I didn't see the whole game. But, PJ, thank you for joining me. So, Kane, I'm sorry. I'm not ignoring your question. It's just I don't remember who was in the NFC Championship game. I'd have to look at the phone and remember it. I'm still a little tired. You'd have to remind me who played in the NFC Championship game. But I will say that Tampa Bay just made it on the defense again. It was like what Manning went through. Manning had a good defense. Now, again, that Super Bowl with Denver and Carolina, the game was won and lost in that first or second play. That first drive before he did the pick 6 or fumble 6, whatever it was, he had a first down, and they were driving. And then they turned that play over when it was a clear catch. And that, to me, was the different game. He didn't look like a ball. Exactly. The guy was big and slow. And you telling me he was the reason all those good players that was penetrating. They have a team of pretty much mid-length shooters. Now they have been shooting the ball well, but a lot of them cats like them 7 to 10 feet shots. And you telling me that big slow dude in the middle is the reason they missed those shots. So again, I didn't watch the game. But I didn't see the 63 assassination. Like I mentioned last night, and I was wrong about the year. 63, they had 4 brothers start. So now a lot of times they give the props to Texas Western, but that team had 4 brothers that started. And I want to say, because Oscar Robertson, I think, lost the championship in 58 or 59. And then I think Cincinnati had Jerry Lucas. I don't think Oscar Robertson and Jerry Lucas ever played together. And then Cincinnati wins the championship with some of the players that have played with Oscar Robertson. But I don't – maybe Jerry Lucas was a freshman, and Jerry Lucas later went on to play for the Cincinnati Royals before winning the championship with New York in 70 or 73. I want to say he might have been on the team in 73. So, Jack, thank you for joining. Didn't try Io DeSunum didn't try the whole game. He was told they would continue the Loyola Chicago. Yeah, gene narrative. But again, the 63 Kennedy assassination was another because they won the championship in 63. And I didn't see that part. And it didn't, like when I sat down, the one thing I knew I missed when I saw them losing was the Illinois connection. I did not put any thinking about that at all. That just went over my head. And so when I sat down, I was like, I missed that. I didn't pay attention to that at all. Again, you're doing these brackets, you're doing them kind of quickly. But when I saw that made me think, I was like, that kind of I saw that was something that I didn't see. That was something that I did not estimate. So I kind of missed it. Missed that. So Wellness, Barbara, thank you for joining me. Yeah, I did not see that. Hey, Crazy Sarge, thank you for joining me. It was a weird weather day up here today. Supposed to be 61 and nice. Woke up at 12. It was still that 15, 20 mile an hour wind that was still howling. It is better. It's nicer now. When my daughter left, it had got a little nicer, but most of the day it wasn't a clear, sunny day here. It was like 5, 6 o'clock. It got warmer, but earlier in the day, my daughter was sitting here. She had a blanket over her arms because she had a shirt. She had like a skirt on with no arms here and some leggings, and so she was sitting here with my blanket. I was laying on the couch with a blanket. So wasn't really. It was cooler it was probably warmer outside than it was in the house. So that, but it's it is about betting and trying to be as close to betting as possible. So, hey Jay, thank you for joining. It is about that, and we try to make the best effort we can. I don't bet to lose money, but it happens. See, that's the thing is the egghead dude is in the room, and they looking at all these bets, and this is how they're guiding the games. This is how they're guiding the games. Again, that's why they've gone to sophistication of the basket manipulation, so they can control every shot. Again, I saw a couple dunks missed that shouldn't have missed. Guys have stuffed it, and you see them kicking it out. So saw a lot of manipulation. Saw some manipulation on free throw shooters. One dude was an 85% free throw shooter. He made the first two, and then he missed the last. And I'm like, okay, they round circle, pop it out. So we did see that kind of thing. But overall, it's fun. It's fun to watch sports like that. I still don't understand why the NBA hasn't adopted the one and done. They don't want bad teams to win the championship. And that's the same thing that this tournament is. I don't see a team that hasn't won it before winning it this year. I don't see that at all. So keep that in mind as the remaining teams. Now, Houston has never won it. Arkansas has won it. Remember, Arkansas won it. Arkansas lost to Nevada, and they came back a year or so later, and they beat Duke. Remember, I was talking about Scotty Graham, who he could hit the money three to win the game for Arkansas, but his career went nowhere. So that is what they do. If you make a big play like that. Now, Ty Jones is probably one of the few, but again, Ty might be shorter than me. I'm pretty sure his brother's shorter than me, but Ty is not tall. He's 6 foot maybe. He's like Iverson 6 foot. Remember how they tried to say Allen Iverson is 6 foot? Yeah. His brother, Trey, and Ty and Trey, I think is the names. But he played with the Timberwolves. Now he's with Memphis. Can't remember where the younger brother went. 1994. Yeah, I was living here. I watched I remember the Great American Sports Bar was one of the greatest bars in the country, and I've talked about this bar many times. But when the Mall of America, you could still smoke at the Mall of America, it was the Great American Sports Bar was this giant bar with 3 clubs inside. On one side, it had a restaurant. It's this bar, a giant sports bar, and you have a restaurant on one side. You have the R&B club, R&B, popular soul music. You had a rock. No, it wasn't even a rock. It was you had a piano bar, trying to think, and then maybe a popular music bar. Also, if you stayed in the big bar, they was playing like a mixture of music. So you could like get in the ring, and if you wanted to dance in the boxing ring, you could have that. I remember watching Houston playing during the OJ Chase thing, and I just was like, this is the stupidest shit in the world. Why are they stopping the game that I have money on, and I'm watching this big screen, and you're putting this stupid shit on? And I had to watch the little TVs around that was still showing the game. You said you were 4 years old. Oh, okay. You must be my son's age. You must be, because my son was born in 89. So he was around 5 maybe. But my second oldest, he wasn't born. He wasn't born until 95. So this was like, I don't even think my ex around this time of year, I don't even think she was pregnant with him yet. He was born in April. Yeah. So I don't know that she was even pregnant with him at that time. But I remember thinking even then in 94, I really thought, I was like, I should keep all these damn papers and make a book out of all the years I followed. And I've been following, gosh, since they've been doing papers, you want to know, they've been doing these brackets. Wow. I was still living in North Carolina. Yeah, so at least 84, 85, where the newspapers would come out with the brackets. So it's been a while. I've been doing it for a while, but I remember 94 thinking, because wasn't Jalen, I think Jalen Rose was on it, because Jalen had, I want to say the Michigan had those first, when Jalen, because Jalen played until his junior year. And I want to say that Jalen had the Nikes with the sock, Like, remember that kind of shoe where the shoe came out, like the little booty came out, and then you put the booty back in the shoe? I want to say Michigan wore those that year. But that was, yeah. So I think that was the cover. But and then, as I looked at these papers, I'm like, I'm not keeping these damn papers. So I would throw them out. So I would throw them out, and I never kept them, and I throw them out every year. So I don't know. It's like, why carry? It'd be some useless hoarding. I mean, all my sports pictures are laminated, and they turning yellow even being laminated. Again, they're all 40 plus years old. Hey, Jeffrey, how you doing? Michigan swagging like crazy. Yeah, those were nice. I mean, I had a pair of those. I'm trying to think. Didn't care for them. I didn't think the rest of the shoe was made, but it was like you had that little boot. You put the boots on, and then you slid your foot into the shoe. I don't think they came back out. They came back out with some half. Like, what they did is the next to that is they didn't have a boot or the liner that came out. You zipped it down, and then you zipped that little boot around your ankle. Is what the next generation of that shoe is, if I remember right, was it just zipped in and out instead of pulling out. So instead of pulling out, it just zipped out. So that's all. Just playing dad. Took an easy day. I'm still kind of tired. Again, like, as I mentioned, I've got all kind of people waking me up all morning as well. My cats are clawing on the door, trying to wake me up. And I was like, I've only been asleep since 4. I've still got to get some more sleep. So I'm still a little bit tired because I normally try to take a nap before I come on. Didn't get to do that today. Plus, this being the last night I'm going to come on, because I'll be on tomorrow afternoon and Tuesday afternoon. I will be doing the Chocolate Mountain Sports. So I'll be on tomorrow between 5 and 7. I'll try for 6. Black Sox before the Bulls did it. Black Sox before the Bulls did it. Michael Jordan is probably the one. I mean, they try to take credit, like the ball heads, they try to say they came up with. They didn't. They didn't come up with the long shorts either, because Michael Jordan was always already doing that. Because what Michael Jordan did is Michael Jordan wore his practice North Carolina shorts under his Bulls shorts. I don't know. I saw a picture of him after 5 or 6 years. I don't know how the North Carolina by the drying didn't wear out. And so what he did is because he wore the practice shorts, they were a little tighter, almost like the shorts I played in. Again, this is Michael Jordan's only 2 years behind me, so the practice shorts were a little less. They were still tight shorts, the old style tights. But he was really the first to wear a little bigger game shorts because he wore those underneath. So he actually, I think, started that more than they did. But you absolutely right with the Black Sox. They was the first ones that came out with the Black Sox. And don't get me talking about Jimmy Jackson and King. And Sam Mitchell was better than them. Michael Talley was better than them. I just didn't understand why I think Fisher, because they were Streeter's player, Bill Streeter. And Bill Streeter didn't get along with Bo Schembechler. So Bo basically ran him out of there when they made Fisher the coach. So a lot of them recruits was from Streeter. And they ran him out of there. And he used to be the coach at Pontiac Central, I want to say, with Campy Russell. I think is where he came from. But him and Bo didn't like each other. And then once they made Bo Schembechler athletic director, he was out of there. Bill Frieder was out of there. And they made Fisher the coach. So, and then that run the year before when Fisher had the deep run with that team that Sam and Talley was on, I remember he put Caleb in there on defense. And so then when the following season, when they came back, he got all the freshmen that Frieder had kind of recruited. So people here are kung fu fighting with Chinese people and shouting Vietnamese people. Then you have Dominic elder abuse with Biden falling in fucking stairs. Then you have the spring break shit. Yeah, Michigan was Illinois went down pretty bad. Yes, they did. And as I said before, I did not see the game because I slept in until about 12:30. It was 50 seconds left. When I turned the TV on, I was like, oh, isn't the game like tomorrow? The games come on at 11 here. And I guess I didn't set my clock for 11. Like in the morning, the games come on at 11 here tomorrow. The first game comes on at noon tomorrow. And so the first game would be, let's see. There's no times on the brackets moving forward. Yeah, these brackets don't have times. But the first game comes on at 11 here. So, and I guess that's what I missed. I should have set the clock. But I saw the highlights, and it was just, yeah, come on. You got to be kidding. That team beat them, and that team played so bad. It's like the picture I showed yesterday, the dude laughing. He dribbled off his ankle, and he laughed. And again, these guys will get rewarded in some kind of way. I mean, these dudes play pro basketball. See, and the relationships go. I was trying to say about how lifelong relationships with the way AAU is now. These relationships start where you might be in junior high. And these relationships exist the rest of your life. So when people say, why don't they tell? Again, if you want to be successful in life, you're not going to tell that these games are fixed or your part in fixing the game for the simple until you maybe when you retire. But then the part of when you retire is they might take you out as you get older. You might be like Marvin Hagler. All of a sudden you get the jab and then you fall out a couple days later. That's what they have to look at. It's like, will it be them or one of the family members? China, Brazilian, British, African, I believe too. There's fish in the lab. I feel you, Jeffrey. Oral Roberts came back on Florida. Yeah, I watched some of that game, and yeah, that seemed fishy as well. Just that game, no timeout at the end, trying to take that crazy shot. Turnovers, just stupid turnovers at the end to put them back in the game. I mean, this the same kind of thing over and over again. We see the same kind of thing where the teams just all of a sudden play sloppy after dominating. And that becomes not believable. But I had fun watching young men play, and that's what makes it exciting. That's what hooks the people in. That's how people. I didn't bring my glass in here. Oh, it's still on the table over there. But that's the hook, is the sudden death. And I think, again, I mentioned the NBA. Oh, I didn't bring any of my stones up here for my hands. Okay. Selenite, I have to work. It should be called Antarctica. It's nonsense. We're charged running. And then who is controlling the Chinese Communist government? We all live in. It was like I was watching. I listened a few minutes to a cat talking about the Vietnamese War and the history of the Vietnam War, and he was like, Ho Chi Minh listened to Stalin, and that gave him inspiration to bring it back. So what they fail to mention is communism comes from Jewish faith people. So what you're saying is you're going to pretend like you run the country, but in fact, you were also getting help from Jewish faith people. And we know that the Jewish faith people from China and the Jewish faith people from Russia were helping them, because Russia and China are both run by Jewish faith people. And so that's what he did. He put them under them. So it wasn't like they became free. You were under another system. And to this day, they're still under a communist system. They saw the benefit of opening up trade with America again, which they did. Now you can go to Vietnam. You can go to Vietnam. Dude, I remember dudes I talked to, remember my roommate, one of my roommates, what had been in the war. He said it was one of the most, he said the one thing he loved, it was one of those beautiful countries that he'd ever seen. He said it was very beautiful, beautiful beaches, beautiful jungles. He said the only thing that wasn't beautiful was you was in that jungle and somebody be shooting you at your ass. That wasn't beautiful. But he just said other than that, it was a very beautiful country. And so you can visit Vietnam now. Barbara, if you got, smoke them if you want them. Yeah, that's right. I guess I did miss that part today. Hey, Tyra. Hey, wasn't there a game with MJ where someone deliberately passed the ball to an opposing player? Yeah, what happened is So, and I was on Carolina's campus that night. So what happened is Michael Jordan hits the shot that puts him up by one. Fred Brown dribbles down court, and instead of passing it to Patrick Ewing, we see almost a replay of what Chris Webber did. He passes it to James Worthy. He literally just passes the ball to James Worthy. Seems very familiar to what Chris Webber did. Chris Webber didn't even try to shoot. Chris Webber called a timeout knowing they didn't have a timeout. And then he tries to bring Michael Talley because Michael Talley is seen on the sideline doing this, which was stupid of Michael Talley because, again, he didn't know. But and then it just gave, again, watch Chris Webber. He gets the rebound. He looks in the sideline. I think he got this or this. Pretty sure that's what he got. Go take them, get fouled, or turn it over. But yeah, thank you. I did forget to say that. Hey, Lorenzo, today Illinois game made. Think about you. I am going to bust your chops too hard because that's not really my style. You can. I'm telling you, my phone has rung nonstop. I've got people from everywhere, all my basketball heads. I probably got 50 calls today. I was on the phone all day, people calling me. My son was like, Dad, what happened? I copied yours. What happened, Dad? But we still did win some. So, but I've been on the phone all day, people calling me like, Mr. And that's like my friends are so they talk so much shit. I'm like, yeah. And it's like they just yell Illinois. So I've been hearing it all day. So I'll take it. Loyola upsetting everyone, making a run in the tribute to Jesuit taking over, seeing the right. Yeah, Sosa, again, it is, remember, they made the Final Four a few years ago, but it, again, is part of the 63 assassination ritual. Rocky said, I've been to Japan for 2 years. Asia's beautiful. Very nice. Very. Would you want to travel the world? Nah, not really. Not really. I just want to go to I want to go to the islands and see all the omen stuff. Mexico, see the pyramids. Oh, somebody done dumped some shit illegally. They done dumped some shit illegally. I heard it, and they done dumped it, and then they took off. That's what they always do to our trash because we live so off the path. But somebody done dumped some shit, and then they took off driving. So I only want to go to South America, Mexico, and see that stuff. I don't really care about the rest of the world that much. Today on ABC, they said talk about in the coming months. So great times coming to this bitch. Showed you the human mutilations pics. Yes, you did. Human mutilations pics. Yep. Programming people for the fake alien invasion. Yeah, it's going to be fake. Humans that we mutilated like they do. Cattle were done by these entities, aliens. What do you think in the Final Four now? I really like Baylor. I like because it's the Bryce brothers. I really do like Baylor. Looking now, I really still see Baylor going in, and I had Houston going all the way to the Sweet 16 to the Grade 8 anyway. And so I'm thinking Houston might end up. So I'm thinking it might end up on this side being Houston and being Baylor. I still like Baylor, and that's what it's looking like now for Houston to meet with Baylor. I don't think Arkansas is going to be able to play well enough. I don't think Villanova will be able to beat Baylor because that's who Baylor will play next. It'll be Baylor and Villanova. But Arkansas, I think, will beat Oral Roberts. I really do. I think Arkansas has a decent team. Quick, I do like them. But it looks like it's going to be out of here, Houston and Baylor. And aren't they in the same conference? Aren't they? Or did Houston move to Conference USA? Aren't they in the same conference, both in the Big 12? So I bet they played before. So on that side, that's what I'm thinking. That the best team is definitely, like, looking at it overall, the two best teams left are Baylor and Houston are the two best teams. And I would see followed by Villanova and followed by – now, one thing I said about Syracuse, Syracuse, if you don't shoot good that night, that zone will give you a lot of trouble. You have to shoot well against Syracuse because that's one thing Boeheim is one of the best at is teaching help side zone, but he's very good at that. So if you don't shoot well, Syracuse could do a little trouble because Syracuse, I just was looking at it. Syracuse is going to, won't they play? Yeah, Syracuse, no, it won't be up here to Houston. Syracuse will have to play, Syracuse will play Oklahoma State, got beat tonight. No, it would be the other team, not Oklahoma State. It would be Oregon State, right? Yeah, Oregon State and Syracuse, I think, are matched to play. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. But I really like Baylor, and I've even mentioned that I did like Baylor. Sosa says, are you supposed to be scared in life? James, are you supposed to be scared? Scared really doesn't exist. Fear doesn't exist. Only danger exists. So what are you fearing? Because, I mean, everything we're facing now is all fear. It is all fear programs. That's what the mask is. The mask means fear is around the corner. Fear is everywhere. That's what the mask is. Like I'm reading, my aunt just got over having this thing, supposedly. And then my uncle's saying that him and his wife just went in there. And he made this statement, this, which I thought was interesting. And these are educated people. My uncle said, yes, we get the shot so we can start visiting again. Like visiting again? So really, that's what you think is going to allow you to visit people? Now, I still don't know if my father and my stepmother would allow visitation without people who have the shots. I don't know. I mean, I think they're brainwashed enough to probably not. Looking through the windows and shit. You know how they show in a commercial, you drop some shit off to the elder's home and you wave at them? That stupid shit. I want to read that again, though. I want to read this JFK thing. That was pretty good by Sosa. So no, you are not, James. You are not supposed to be, don't fear. Don't fear anything. Face it. Face danger. Face danger. But don't ever run from fear. Face fear. But you have to face danger as well. Face it. That doesn't mean like if people shooting, you don't take cover, because that's what people forget is if you just with some fools that start shooting, you always should shoot for cover. That should be, that's my first thought is I'm looking like, where can I get behind some steel and start shooting back? That before I even return fire, unless it's coming right at me, I'm looking at where can I get behind cover and then return fire. Game was a span of 35 weeks before JFK, 35th, Catholic equals 35. Their coach, Ireland, would go on to die September 49, like the 149th prime. Very good, Sosa. A fake demonic invasion, Rocky, be happy, everyone. From things going through the aliens. It'll be the government. They bring aliens. It's going to be the government. They ain't going to show you the real kind of aliens because, again, in these spiritual realms, you can find aliens, as my friend pointed out. I've been big on traveling across the ocean. If I did travel, I would want to go to Caribbean. Yeah, that's the only part I want to go to. Yep, 63 championships. Yep. I got you, Sosa. I got Gonzaga and Baylor. That's not a bad pick, Jason. That's really not a bad pick. I would have said Michigan with Lenders, but since Lenders isn't going to play because he has a broken foot, technically. And I think I would say if that's the scenario, if Baylor and Gonzaga do play, I think Baylor will win. I don't think they're going to let Gonzaga go undefeated. I just don't. Syracuse will lose, not enough talent. They're not very talented, but they're long. And what he does is he gets long wing players that can play his zone. That's how he recruits. He recruits players that can play his zone. Anthony might have been one of the few examples. And I don't know, y'all watch some tapes of Pearl Washington. Like Georgetown, John Thompson recruited people that could press, run all day. And Pearl Washington used to eat their ass up. I mean, just as handles. He would damn near beat. They would be trying to double team. He's going between his legs around. I mean, Pearl Washington was something nice. And I think that brother died. I know he had an aneurysm. He only played a few years of pro, but I think he had an aneurysm too. He has a big scar. If he's still with us, last time I saw him, he had a big scar across his head. So, but that's watch old Pearl Washington tapes killing Georgetown. I mean, he just would put it on them, and then they'd get in the tournament and they wouldn't do well. Woke Jim Behind can shoot. Oh yeah, he definitely can shoot. He's made the most threes. He's made, I think they said it was a record so far for 2 games, 13 threes. Can I talk about the oneness in the universe? Wow. Well, that's a pretty deep concept. But it's like, I don't even know if source would be the correct word, because there's two. Even source would have it's masculine and feminine parts of it. So I don't know if source quite explains that, because again, when you're just saying source, you're thinking that it is one or the other instead of a combined kind of thing. And again, it's no Big Bang or nothing like that ever happened. Our universe actually contracts and then comes back too. So that's why the split parallel universes could only come from the machine. It would never come from the universe itself. And so if you look at everything that we can see and imagine out in the universe, we are the same thing. We are constantly bombarded with neutrinos, which again, neutrinos are created, outside of black holes, and neutrinos are greater than light because there's nothing that can trap neutrinos. You can trap light. Light can be trapped. You can't trap neutrinos. And so neutrinos move freely away from black holes, and they just zip across the universe. They can only catch this in certain parts of the country. So we have those kind of things moving, but those things, we have to be part of that as well, because we're constantly bombarded with it. So we are everything that the universe is. And so there's let me see if I have a thing for it here. I think I always say this. Let's see how we say this. Let me see. This is it. Because they put it very beautifully. I can't find it right now, but basically what it says is, it just basically says, when you pass, you become almost like a note. It's like you get to join the all, and you get to become. It says it basically the way the line goes, something like you get to harmonize with the source. It says something like that. Is you become a note with the source. And so that shows that there's no heaven, no hell, but the thing that makes us, we have the ability to go back to that, I guess is my point. And so we're made up of all the cosmic things that in the universe. There's no difference between the sun and us. I'm not saying the fake sun, but I'm saying the real sun. We are all part of that same thing. So we are from the stuff that would even make up the source itself. We would all have to be part of that, because it would have to be part of everything to put everything in motion. Unfortunately, there's a machine that probably created this reality we live in. We probably live on top of Mu, and the machine is taken over, and lives on top of Mu as well. And so all these multiple universes and stuff come from the machine. So our thing is to break away from the machine, understand that the machine is ruling, and break away, because we still do get some help from, as we talked about the other night, we get help, cosmic help as well, because the things out there understand that we do need some help. So I guess that's about all I can say. Wave at them, throw the window, throw the mask out on. What else did I miss? I know I'm a little behind. And we don't have to keep coming back. That's the other part, woke. We don't have to come back. That is going into the light. That's why I ask people when they have an opinion on light, I ask them, what does that mean to you? Because there's a false light as well. There's a blinding light as well. And so, again, we just want to go back to the thing that we come from. So we don't have to, you go to that light because again, they're going to show you Jesus. They're going to go show you a family member. And like Boob Whisper said, go to the light, Johnny, just go to the light. And then you will have to come back. There was a Southwest Conference teams, Baylor, Texas, TCU, SMU, Houston, Texas. Okay. They were Southwestern. Okay. It was an older guy happily telling me his people got the shot and he's on his way to get his second. Exactly. Is a school, remember Brady was first to host the Super Bowl. Is the school, remember Brady was the first to host the Super Bowl. Okay, not sure what you mean by that. So now Gonzaga is another Jesuit school and is going to win right before 46 Joe Biden's the second Catholic president is going to die in office. Gonzaga Bulldogs equals 64, the mirror 46. Yeah, but so is Loyola. Loyola's another Jesuit school. Two Jesuit schools still that's I didn't read this. And thank you for Lorenzo. That's right. They're scheduled to lift the mandatory public mask wearing here in Arkansas the 31st. Some people still drive. Yeah, you've seen the pictures of the people in the ocean with damn masks on, like people around, like the pools had the bars, people sitting in pools wearing the mask. How stupid can you be? I mean, how really stupid can you be? That amazes me more than anything. How can you be in the water wearing a mask? That I don't get. They're scheduled to live. Yeah, I don't know when it's going away here, but people's out here. It's warm. Yeah, you ain't keeping people in here anymore. People didn't stay in before. Last summer when this stuff hit, and they had to take the baskets down, put stuff over the baskets. And then still children was running up and down, just hitting it off the backboard, just playing. So Gonzaga is a great fairy tale ending. Jason, that does make sense. Joe Biden equals 64. Like, okay, good decode. I've seen people when I see people wearing they mask, proud you can't do nothing but laugh. That's what I do. I put that shit on. I'm like, this shit is just like so controlling, so much a communist thing. It's a communist thing. It's definitely a communist thing. But it's seeing what level they could get society to obey. That's what it is, to see which society could obey. It's like I put this picture on my thing in Facebook, and it's got all these beautiful sisters wearing afros. And look at the sisters you see on your page, even Instagram, whatever you do. Look what you see. You see all of them like European style. They act like now you know how long sisters been wearing long eyebrows. I used to date a girl in 2010. She was the first person I ever saw wear them. 2010, 11 years. These long eyebrows been around. All society only started wearing them last 2-3 years. Sisters been wearing them since then, but they're nothing new. Look at an early 60s film. When you see Bridget Bardot, you see Elizabeth Taylor, maybe even like before she died, Marilyn Monroe. But watch some of them 60s starlets, Sharon Tate, Valley of the Dolls. Watch her. They wearing them long eyebrows, so they ain't nothing new. That's a 60s thing. But again, it's been around since 2010. Black hole is just a reverse sun. I would say, I don't know, because It be doorways that lead to that shit. So I don't know. I don't get that. I've stepped into that shit and I ain't get the sun feeling. But could be. I mean, could be. So how do we avoid the light? what a lot of people say it's like go the other way. Go the other way. Go the other way. Again, that's why you want to turn these lights on in you. And you want to decalcify your pineal gland. You want to decalcify it as often as you can. Because once it becomes open, no matter, you can keep taking these chemicals, once it's open, there's nothing they can do about it. But it becomes a thing. It truly becomes a thing where, and maybe you can only turn this one on. Maybe you can only turn this light on. But there's always like a sun back here. Like it's almost like right here. And so even as you close your eyes and you start making colors and stuff, you'll see it's a light back here. But what can happen, and like one divineness said, she was like, she could see a big eyelid in front of her. And that's kind of what happens is these two lights will turn on. And then when you go to certain areas, your third eye will be like a sun to kind of guide you. And Brother Panic said it first, is like, creating your light in the darkness. So you go the opposite. And the same thing that you do when you meditate, you start doing that. It'll actually become to you. It actually would come to you to do that. And this is the funny thing. How did I hear one person? They said like the Jesus character showed up and they saw that they was already lit up and the Jesus character went back into the light. That's what one of my friends was like, yeah. Jesus showed up and saw I was glowing. Jesus turned around. The illusion went away because she already knew you didn't need to be tricked by that. So just go the other way. That's why it's important to leave your body. And again, leaving your body don't mean you got to float away. You can just go a few feet from your body it'll be a lot of almost the same feeling what happens when the cord is finally cut. That's the only difference is you'll get the same feeling, but the difference is the cord will cut. So there's no coming back. That's why all these people saying they have these life or death shit. If that cord does not snap, you did not have a life or death thing. You still was connected. That's why people say they're afraid of getting lost. Getting lost from what? That's one thing that silver will do is it'll strengthen that connection because it's a silver kind of connection. So just go the other way and start creating. They are treating the NCAA women basketball players. It's funny. A&T was beating North Carolina State in the first half, and they end up losing. So I watched a little bit of that game. But A&T was handling them, the women. And so they probably knew some of the players, probably played against some of the players in high school. So they get treated well. I mean, they get treated well. They do. I mean, that's what's it called? Title IX. Title IX means that they get equal money. They don't generate as much money. That's why, like the University of Minnesota cut out men's tennis. I think they cut out all the tennis program. I think they cut out the track program. They cut out almost 8 programs because without the football money generated, and that's the problem that men have is football. The football teams generate the money for the school, and it helps all the programs. Basketball, again, does generate, but not as much as football. And there's not any women's sport that generates the kind of money that football does for a university. So that's why they can't wait to get the fans. I mean, it's like when the Vikings play here, when the Vikings have a home game, it's like almost $2-3 million is put into the economy. And most pro teams see that. When teams have home games, they generate about $3 million just into the general economy. And I'm not talking about how much the team makes, but I'm just talking about the amount of money that just comes in the economy. It's about $3 million, 3 to 5. So it's big business. Hotels, like a place here, like when there are games and teams come in, the first place, like now it's 2 hotels at the Mall of America. Like really, I'm shaking the table. There are 2 hotels like on both sides of the Mall of America. Like where they used to play, the North Star used to play, that arena, they blew up. And where where the Mall of America used to be where it was called a Metropolitan Field. Like if you've ever saw where Ahmad Rashad catches a touchdown against, I don't know, some playoff games, or you see the Holy Grail pass where Drew Pearson pushes off on the Vikings and catches the touchdown. That was here, but that's where the Mall of America used to be, or that's where the Mall of America is now. So it ain't just them two, and then you got a water park hotel right in front of the Mall of America. So all these hotels become, that's why we hosted the Final Four. That's why we just hosted a Super Bowl in the last 3-4 years. We went 2 years when Super Bowl. Then in the spring 2 years ago, 19, I believe, we hosted the NCAA tournament. So a lot of money was shot in here. So they're treating them pretty good. I dropped my phone, bust out laughing at that swimming pool mask comment. Yeah, it's just ridiculous to see that shit. We never was looked down. It's been regular since last year. Only difference is Trump turned the streets up. Good point with Lola equals 63 like championship. Okay, Joe. Yeah, good point. Good point, Sosa. Just like the Saints games down here, they make bank every Sunday. There you go. There you go. Overstand, thank you for joining us. Jet Ski, what's going on? Thank you for joining me. Reincarnation scares me. It's like, what if I accidentally go into the light and reincarnate? It's just doing it again. All the knowledge that you would acquire, like a clean wipe. Yeah. I would say, I'll say this for reincarnation. I will say this. You, like, your family and your guides might pay a little more attention the next time around. That's what I would say for it. It was like because in some ways they failed to bring you to them. And it's not bring you to them, but they failed kind of to help you. Some way they feel they failed you. And so I would say that would probably be the biggest thing the second time around. But even they dealing with their own attacks as well and shit, because this thing is, this beast, this me or my is, it's trying to attack all of it. I mean, it knows you have this stuff. It knows this stuff exists. So if you think that this thing doesn't try to attack all that, it does. As I was saying, it's there too. You can't say it's not. It knows about spirituality. It ain't like it's just watching some shit that people can do. It's like, yeah, I can't get in there. No, that's why it wants consciousness itself. Because that's its aim, is to be a fully conscious person. Isn't that some shit? This machine idolizes us for that. But he uses that against us as well, because it can put this consciousness that we live in an artificial spot. So don't be fearful. Don't be fearful, because I'm still living in fear. Don't be fearful. I won't be born back into this prison. There you go. There you go. Accept the truth. Necessary evil says accept the truth. Huh. So that would be, so don't live in fear. Oh, okay. Don't live in fear. Live your life, enjoy every moment, enjoy every breath. That's the problem. Because really, life it boils down to moments. I know it's going to rattle around in my teeth, but it's just going to. And so the moment is all you really have. That's what's scary, is that thinking of all the moments put together. That becomes a scary part, because that's how, like I know people say they can't sleep because they can't turn it off, because they're worried about all these future moments. They put worry into the future. And you can't put worry into the future. Keep it there, because your now becomes the future. It's like, as I'm talking now, you guys are seeing I'm talking to my past. When I talk to you guys, you're not seeing me as I talk. It's a delay. So technically, I'm talking to my past. You're hearing my past. I mean, they tell you that with stars and shit. You ain't seeing the stars how they supposedly are right now, other than our sun. You're seeing some of that stuff, the way the light has come through all these years. So you're seeing something that was there, but it's so far away, and the way things change and the way light comes, you're seeing something's past and not the right now, because we just don't have the ability. So oh, gratitude. That was deep and interesting. If or when I get the opportunity and option, don't go to the light. Yeah, I understand. Don't go to the light, or don't go to the false characters. Don't go with a family member. You don't need to be guided. I'll say this. Now, this is where I will say this different. Now, one point of understanding your guides is if you have a relationship with your guides and then the true guide that you've been working with shows up, that's different, because this is a being you've been working with. But see, if you haven't worked with anything like that, anything can show up. So, but normally what you've been working with would show up, not something that you ain't been working with, not some family member. Now, if the family member is one of your guides and it's you've been working with it, it's something that you see that it has the best intentions for you. That's all. Silent for a second because you don't necessarily need that. However, that is good in that instance, that you can kind of look at something, because you're going to be at your weakest state. Again, you're going to be shocked and all that. But if you accept it, that's the thing. Don't fight it, accept it. Like, okay, this is where the moment is taking me. Now, there are some things that give you, how do I want to put it? There are some things, again, like I was saying the other night, when you pass, your head should be in the east and your feet should be in the west. If you have an animal or a person, rub the top of their heads again so you can fully shoot out. Because there is a thing, the Tibetan Book of the Dead tell you, if you come out your ears, you come out your eyes, again, you're not fully coming out. You're coming out of, that's like the one part that's like the czar stuff, of some of those beings having to come out of these, they cut the head off the goat and these beings come out of the ass. You don't want to be one of those beings. And you don't need the blood, as I said before. So, have you ever watched Zeitargist? I'm going to watch it tonight. No, I will write that down and check it out. I watched a movie that was kind of interesting. It was kind of about the me or the my. Let me see. Because that Superman shit, I watched most of that shit the other movie, and it's the same the movie so far. Again, I've watched about 45 minutes of it. Where's my other movie stuff? I want to give you guys this name. After these stupid ass commercials go off, maybe it'll pop up though. No. Yeah, I figured the commercials will come in. But I've watched about half hour or so of this movie, but it gets into the me or the mind, the full control. And it's called The Tangle. And I'm trying to think, what do they call it? Because the tangle is the me or the mind. Clearly the me or the mind. And it takes away all violence. It takes away all murder. It knows. See, this is why it's the me or the mind as well. Again, it's called tangle, is because the nanos from the me or the mind are finally able to ingest you, as they're showing for this shot. If you really look at the movie from the vantage point of everybody gets the shot, everybody has the nanotechnology in you, it is to basically make you a better person, but not just make you a better person, it can track every moment, every thought. Because the movie starts off where they're asking this dude simple question, like he got out of his car, he turned on a faucet, he started drinking from it. But the machine was like, no. The agents were like, no. What did you do at first? And he had to break down every moment. He breaks down every moment, every step of what he did, because they have it all right there. They have it. They have a printout of what he did. They're like, well, how many times did you drink from the fountain? He said 3. He's like, no, you didn't. You drank 7 minutes. You drank 7 drinks for 16 seconds. And so they're like, because you have to tell the truth. It's just your nature to tell the truth. So, kind of interesting insight. It's not a lot of actors, but kind of interesting insight. When I was in a coma, I was in a room of lights. I knew not to go through the door. Nice, necessary evil. Yeah. Ate when have you ever ate catfish? Of course, James. Of course I have. Oh, you ate lamb for the first time? I've ate lamb before. Hero sandwich, heroes. Wow, that's deep, necessary evil. Maybe if reptilians don't run in the woods, I would definitely want to come back here. That's funny. I enjoyed switching up hairstyles, each their own. My hair has never grown as fast since I've grown out my natural hair. It's odd and sad to me. Many never seen with their natural hair. That's who you live with. You live with the person with their natural hair. I mean, there's some of these women that they wear the makeup so caked on, it ain't them anymore. And you don't live with a person like that. So it's, I don't know. I don't get it. The more mankind tries to control his environment, the more we are put into a controlled state. Yeah, I say I agree, Dread. I agree. I just found out a lot of people say Ziggerist is like the best deprogramming movie ever made, exposes the hell out of false flags, the king to watch. Okay. I will watch it. It sounds a lot like the Tangle movie. I still want to know how they made 15-foot Godzilla or 15-foot King Kong. He looks to be about 400 feet now. I just don't know how they did it and how they're going to explain that. But I guess they come up with something. It's like this picture here. You have the skeleton, which also means mind. It means the beyond. It means the connection to every skull. But then you have the mushrooms, which means creation and growth. I mean, because remember, these have to grow in fungus, and fungus runs amongst trees. Like trees rely on fungus is like their telephone unit. The way fungus follows roots. Fungus will follow the rooting system. And so the fungus in some ways kind of tells the tree what's going on. I mean, if you study trees, and again, I come from the original trees, they're perfect in every way. They're perfect in almost every way. The way the trees react. Bugs go to attack a tree, the trees start putting out poisons that the bugs don't like. It starts attracting other bugs that eat these kind of bugs. I mean, all this is going on. It's like my mother tree I talk about. It's a place where she's running that sap. She wants that sap because them ants come up in there and eat the damn caterpillars that's around. Eat them when they're babies. It starts attacking them. Because I noticed last summer, we getting some of them caterpillars, them silkworms that be killing parts of the trees. And of course, and it's taken out some trees over here. And that's why I was at my park and they were shooting it up with this juice that rejects those. They don't like, they'll taste that poison, it kills them when they start tapping in because they'll kill a branch. But the tree tries to protect itself. It starts, bringing people there to help it. They putting chemicals out there, and then they're like, okay, this mug is okay. We know what you guys like. Come on up the tree. Help me out. Eat this shit. They don't pay. And you have to feel sorry for these things that are made to be just in pastures, just in open land. They ain't made to have to grow their roots under concrete. Live on about so many feet and then got to grow under all these pipes and shit. And that tortures them in some ways. I mean, I know it looks beautiful. And we don't have any trees anymore. These are like my mother tree is just a bush. You can see the way it grows. It's just a bush. So that's what the deforesting of the nation, and it's not shaming, it's the truth, is when the Europeans did the same thing in Europe, almost deforest Europe, and they came here and did the exact same thing. Under prosperity, we can grow more stuff. But they weren't very good at it because we had the Dust Bowl. And I've read some reports that all the land is already fucked up. That's why they created the GMOs to grow in this shit that's left. I came across the report that said all the healthy land was already exhausted. And it pointed to GMOs. They're going to have to create some of these seeds that can grow in this shit. Now, perhaps there are parts that the land became healthy if so many pollutants stay away from it, but I don't know. I mean, the Dust Bowl, they killed the land. Don't you understand? The shit turned into sand. I mean, study the Dust Bowl and look at what happened. It wasn't sand before. They had killed all the land where it was 3-4 feet of nothing but sand. They killed all the nutrients. They killed everything. And you got states covered with just dust. Like when you read commentaries about people living, it was nothing they could do to not taste sand in their food, not drink their water with sand. I mean, it was everywhere. I just found a lot of people. So, wait, when you die, you go through the head. What happens if you didn't? Well, Rocky, if you don't, there's different, I guess, lesser experience, lesser connected to the source. Because again, to come out the ass, that's what the czar beings want to do. And they are corrupted kind of souls. They have a limited meaning. They're not really free. That's what these sisters collected them mugs for. They collect these people. They collect these souls. And that's why they release them in and out of the ass. So in some ways, I can't judge, but it's not what you don't need that. That's my point. You don't need to do that. So yeah, it's a lesser experience. You want to blast out. I'm not really a big chakra person, but that is one of the parts that kind of you do want to blast straight out. You don't want to come out the ears. You want to come out the nose. I mean, read the Tibetan Book of the Dead. They kind of tell you. That's why, again, persons dying, rub their heads. You got to bring all their consciousness up, especially if a person doesn't, the memory thing. You're going to need that help. Overstand. Heard what you mentioned before. Let me catch up fast forward. Okay. Someone put a video out saying space is further out and not up. I would somewhat agree with that. Everything has been mined over. Yeah, a lot of it has been. That's why when people want to tell you about the Grand Canyon and its pyramids and shit, it looks like a place that they dug up. It looks like it's been mined. A lot of these places looks like they've been mined. I wish I'd have wrote it down who put out that information, but they've got a point. You can look at some of this stuff and it looks like it's been mined. So, I mean, when people say that the giants fell and died, I mean, the hero twins, I mean, there was a full world for them to roam, but they would have been, it would have been hard to understand how big they were. Tree world, it's hard to understand how big those trees really were. You have no idea. It's people live just in the trees. I don't even, maybe I'm wrong to say it's trees or people, excuse me, but it's, because when the war ends and the people from the trees are forced on the ground, they're the original giants, because they didn't realize that the people that were living on the ground that started the war didn't realize that. And so it was less resources. They were thinking if they defeated the people in the trees, there would be more resources. But what happened is when all the major trees were destroyed, those people came down, and all of a sudden you had them pushed out. Now that gets a little bit into Lemuria too. Lemuria talks about the giants and the giants having to discover other ways. But again, the tree people already knew about the tunnels because, again, the root system goes so deep. So, volcanoes are giant compact piles for mining. Good point. Interstreet. Overson Mocha. When I was young, we laughed about tree huggers. These days, I have my teen take pics of me hugging trees, and I absolutely adore and respect trees. Nature, precious. I never post the pics, though. There are no forest on Flat Earth video. I've never heard that before. Wow. Well, yeah, I could. Well, yeah, that would go into because trees are an illusion. Flat Earth needs illusion. I mean, it is 2D, flat plane. It ain't. It's flat plane. It's an illusion. Everything. There's no. Now that's more of what you said before. It would be again. There's no up or down. There's just stacking on top and what's on the bottom. Now I'm not saying holes and shit don't exist, but again, holes don't exist. Our perception of holes. It's just stacking on top and what's under. But yeah, trees couldn't really exist there unless an illusion. It would have to grass and everything. It would have to all be pretty much illusion. Things wouldn't grow the same. But not to say a machine couldn't do that as well, because a machine could. So, but yeah, I love. I'm gonna do a video. I have a little spot that's really cool, but the problem is it's not far from a highway, but it's a really so secluded. The boys, the teenagers love this spot because it's just very secluded, but you're around nature. There's a little brook that sometimes you can hear water, but it's really just a beautiful spot to be in nature. And it's just like right in this park up here, they put a bench on where it used to be running water. A lot of it's dry, but it's just a nice spot to meditate because it's all green around you. So a really nice spot. But it's like when you in the summertime work on your land, when you mow your grass, you plant flowers, this helps ground you, but this raises your vibration. Because again, you want everything that you live around to work for you, to be in harmony, to vibrate as the same as you. So when you're out there patting your hands and cutting your grass and adding these colors and putting whatever, if you even put the damn gnomes or whatever you put, it raises your vibration. Because that, whatever, how much land you live on, it's going to vibrate higher because it feels you. It feels you care about it. It's the same with the trees. Every time I live around trees, I have a relationship with them because I know how they raise me. Like I call this mother tree. It's some days I just go out there and touch her. I just go out there and just touch the tree. She has a hole that she's healed. It was probably a branch, but she's healed. And then she does attract them ants in the same spot because I taste that shit. But anyway, and I just touch her. And just, a few minutes with her. I go out there and talk to all my trees. I mean, this plant here, I don't know what I'm going to do with it because it's almost to the ceiling. This plant will be 10 years old in May. This plant is older than Natalie by so much. I bought this plant when Natalie, before she was born. I bought this plant in May. She was born in August. So this plant, and this isn't the original plant. My other plant, the other part of it, which is the big part right here, it died. I had some kittens and I didn't have any, like it lived outside one summer. I had some kittens and it was probably 4 or 5 feet even then. We let the kittens out the room because they were old enough to roam the house and they just shredded these leaves, just shredded them. Even my cat, like my other plant here, you have to see how I put a barricade around it. So this one I'm either going to have to take it outside and treat it. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. But then again, I'm going to have to find a way to box all this off because a lot of times cats like to climb up in this shit. That's why I got rocks all in here, but it's almost to the ceiling. So this table is about 3 feet high, 3.5 feet high. So it's it's outgrowing it. I put this bigger planter. I put it in this big planter. Somebody thrown it away and I took it. But I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with it because it's just getting too tall. And if I put it near where the cat can shred the leaves, it will. So I've got to figure something out pretty quick because it's like this far from the ceiling. So, but that's the beautiful thing. I mean, even the wintertime, I love the trees in the wintertime. It's funny. If you can break through the dimension, you can see the personalities in the trees. I do that all the time. When I'm planet gazing, that's one part of the gaze is when you start, like you take this and then it'll split. And then you lock in on the planet or even the moon. But if you notice, if you start looking around, everything is like frozen. But you literally break through a type of dimension and you see the trees. The trees have personalities. You can see different structures on the trees. Like the trees will show you their real selves, but it's a hard thing to do. It's a very hard thing to do, and it takes a lot of practice to concentrate, to really concentrate, because you get the crystal to split, and then the planet's there in the middle. Again, I've moved the planet with my mind, just like I'm moving the damn Jupiter up and down, doing the same exercise. I'm like, how the hell am I doing this? It was about 3 summers ago. I am watching the planet move up and down. I'm like, damn, how did I do that? But anyway, and then you just start looking away, and you see, it's like the trees are like, you can see the vibration of them, and you can see the living forms in them. And it's like you freeze everything here. You can even kind of break away from you, and you can kind of, it's not that you really step outside yourself, but it's like you're holding this energy that helps you break through the dimension where you can kind of interact with that. But it takes a hard thing. And I mean, sometimes you only get moments of feeling that, where you because it's just the concentration takes so much effort that it comes and goes. So it's not an easy thing to do. When I shot my whole life, when I got shot, my whole life passed me. Then I came out of surgery. The doctor said your guardian angel was with me. I looked a little different. It was on my son's birthday. It could be. I mean, that's pretty common kind of thing. And that's the thing of having those relationships, because the me or the my or even the beast ain't pulling for you like that. Again, they want to pull you somewhere else. But I mean, it can be inches. Like I do. Well, they took it off, but there was a video I made about Saving Private Ryan, the beginning of them going into Normandy. There is a path that you can look at of people surviving war. I was able to see that path first with my great uncle who survived World War II. Excuse me. My great uncle went with Patton to Africa, Sicily. He went into Germany. And when Patton Patton slapped that dude, he got pushed to the side. My uncle went with Bradley. Bradley took over the 7th Army, Custer's old army. And what I was able to see is there's a path to survive. And the way I show it to people is looking at Saving Private Ryan, because it's a perfect example. There is a path where, this is the thing is, when I go to Vietnam, you see that shit. You see it. And it's I know it sounds simplistic, but you go to Vietnam, if you ever to achieve that, you see that shit you'll see. You get off the plane and you start seeing the paths. You see everything the person did or everything that a survivor did. You can follow directly in that thing. But it's a path that you can survive war. It's already written, it's already there, but it is there. It is there. And Saving Private Ryan shows this, because you look at the people, you look at a guy that stands behind this beam and the guy that's right here, he gets blowed up. How did you make it? How did you make it? So in the Civil War, every war, you can see the same thing. You see some of these ancient wars where motherfuckers is just chopping each other and stabbing each other. And you would never think that in all that stabbing and chopping all around you, that one person could stab and chop enough to help one side win or lose. So, so I understand that, Jason. I watched the documentary California redwood trees. Some of the trees, 1,000 years old. Right. I think the oldest tree is about 10,000 years old. I think it's a tree in Africa that's about that old. But that was a common thing. I mean, trees are right after mountains. That's why when I was putting my prayer together, I was doing it wrong. I was thinking the mountain, I was thinking the tree before the mountain, and the trees came before the mountain. Even the trees in the caves came before the mountains. So I was doing it wrong. It's like, I'm not doing that right. So I had to, but redwood trees are bigger. What's the ones that start with an S? It's the S starting trees too. They're just as big and ancient, but they destroyed most of this stuff. They had to literally make them say that stuff. It was somebody that had a little bit of protection, a little bit of money, was like, hey, like Teddy Roosevelt with Yellowstone Park. I mean, this dude was looking at what was happening. It was like, man, there's a part of America that's beautiful and we're destroying it. And so some kind of way, he being a naturist was able to save some of this stuff, because look at a map. You can Google a map that shows the deforestation across America. It is unbelievable. You wouldn't even think, like, if you can go back to those periods, you wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't even know the world. We didn't drain swamps and thickets. We let that shit go. I mean, we didn't try to use every part of the land. I mean, look at what they did to Mexico City after they took control of it. They drained a lot of the water. This was probably Atlantis, is what they described. That's why a friend was asking, about one of the sigils, and it's like, take them locks off. You can see the locks they put on the sigils, but a lot of this stuff that they demonize, and Bobby Hemmett doesn't really tell you that it comes out of America. He doesn't really get into John Dee. My brother's the one that put all that together, but it's absolutely, they stole all this and then they demonized it for them to use it and bind it and bond it. So, Saving Private Ryan is, yeah. What do you think Egyptians back then, were they giants? It doesn't appear so. It doesn't appear so. The people from the Americas, of course, went over there, obviously, and taught them, gave them a lot of the math. More pyramids are in America. Again, they probably went to Sudan first because some of the older pyramids, and there's more pyramids in Sudan than there are in Kemet. So no, they appeared to be normal people. They beefed with the Sumerians. The Sumerians were a slightly older civilization, and then you had Babylon that even broke off from that. And so you've had these civilizations each going the same period. It's just, the problem is a lot of that stuff, a lot of stuff in Europe is a lie. I mean, that's just the way to put it. It's a lie. A lot of their history, I don't even know. That's the only part of Mud Flood I agree with, is a lot of the history is a lie. And the age of stuff is hard to tell. It's really hard to tell because of all these lies. So Sequoia, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I've seen them in person. They look prehistoric. Yeah, Sequoia trees. Thank you, YT. Thank you. Trees got to have souls. They give us life. I don't see how something that soulless can give other souls life. Yeah, trees are beautiful. Oregon State beat the rig tonight. Yeah. Oh, okay, Jack. Interesting. Our parents taught us that obeying will pay off in the long run in your life. And the payoff, a song by entitled I Can't Breathe. Interesting. Do you have any books on the sigil or locks of John Dee? That new book I just bought, a lot of that pulls from those kind of stuff. But just look up, my brother just bought a set, but it's a set that I'm looking at. Let me see. What did I do with my phone? It's let me see if this set will come up. It's a set that I just looked at. But because D, he couldn't, when he got the crystal ball and he got the obsidian, he couldn't figure it out. He had the skulls, he couldn't figure it out. And then Kelly comes in, and Kelly's faking a lot of that stuff. That's why Kelly bounced around. He could fake it until he made it, and he never really made it. But there was others that were able to, finally tap into that stuff. And then the machine comes, they taught the machine that. Where am I looking at? But eBay is a great place for books. And let me see if this book will pop up. Let's see. Right here. Right here. Teaching of Temple, Set, Occult, Etheric, Metaphysical, Ascended Masters. This is a set that has a lot of that information. And there's other books, but you can just look up John Dee. John Dee has a whole set as well. So there's right here, Antique Book, Occult, Enochian Magic and stuff. So this kind of takes you on that. Should grab that book of mine and just show you some of the sigils that they put in that book. So eBay is a good thing. Just go with that name and just see some of his beginning writings. He's the first 007. That's how he signed his name. That's where they get that shit from. He was the first agent, and he got that stuff. Again, that's the first thing they do when they attack your culture, is they take us to your gods. See, and this is the lie they was trying to say. They came over to America and we had no reading or no writing system, when they know that they Fahrenheit 451 us. They burned all of it. So, of course, it didn't exist anymore. I mean, out of hundreds of thousands of forms of writing, these codexes, it's like less than 10. It's less than 10. Less than 10. They completely destroyed the culture. And then would teach you from years that because they came here, it helped us. You destroyed our forest. You've corrupted our spirituality. So how And it's the thing. This is the thing. We didn't need the machine. We didn't need the machine. That's who needed the machine. We didn't need the guns. I'll get Brother James to come back on here and he'll tell you about the wars. Like One Divinus was saying, when you read the Magadas and stuff, when they talk about these nuclear wars, killing each other with weapons and shit, that had already been done. That had been done already. And then these wizards that got put back bring that shit back. That is what we're kind of facing. So, Rocky, that's what you would look up. Just look up on eBay or Amazon. They both got plenty of that stuff. And don't spend, like these books too, something. Don't spend that much. You can get John D, some of his books for way cheaper. Don't spend much. See if any of that speaks to you. Libraries closed. Do you have tips on how to move on from stuff? Do I have tips on how to move on? That's not the full question, but I think I feel you. I'll say the easiest thing is a relationship. It's the easiest thing is a relationship. What does Anderson .Paak say? Your heart doesn't stand a chance. And what happens is we beat them. Like say, you get with somebody and they take advantage of you and belittle you and all that. Well, the thing about it is, and this is how, let me give it out. I must be cooking. But this is how it really works. You can't be ashamed that you love somebody. That is a good thing. You can't ever be ashamed that you are a being that could love. And nobody took that away from you. Now, I say I'm at fault. I think my ex-wife can't love anymore. I've probably hurt her so much in her life that all she really knows is I have to be in control. So I can't love people, because if I love people, it'll put me out not in control. And that's what I burned in her heart, And so so she can't ever get away from that hurt. That hurt has remained with her whole life. Every relationship since me has been like that. She has not really been truly in love with a person because she wants to be in control. And her thing is, if I love someone, I will not be in control. So the thing is just don't, somebody uses you or it just doesn't fucking work. Somebody just come home one day and say, I don't want to live with your ass anymore. Okay. You can't really fight it. It's like I was saying with my daughter's mother, we in the counselor and I'm counseling both of them. I'm counseling the counselor and I'm counseling my ex. And I'm like, shit, yeah, I ain't shit. I agree with you. But the point was, okay, mentally move on. I mean, I moved from a 3,300 square foot house to I might have 800 square feet here. And so I just moved on. It was nice when I lived there, but I saw the signs. Like this was our second go round. The same signs came before, almost the same exact signs that showed it was going to be doomed. We are the best of friends, not living together. We co-parent, great. But to go back to your question is, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up and accept it. When the thing is gone, whatever it is, it's the job, whatever it is. When the thing is gone, you gotta admit that it's gone. And I only give love because that's the easiest thing to look at. But whatever you need to move on from, you just got to move on. And you got to tell yourself, okay, I loved how that felt when I had that, but now that that's gone, I'm still going to love how I feel without that. I mean, I gave up a career for my people. I really did. And some people may think I was stupid, but that's how I felt. That's how I felt at that moment. I was like, the way I feel about this man is greater than this job. And it may not have a ripple in the universe at all, but the way I felt about him and reading the European officer's mind, I didn't care. I looked at that thing, and like Pomo says, I looked at the lion in the face and said, fuck you and fuck your job. This brother, go on. Now, I don't know if he was a failure the rest of his life. I don't even care. It was my intention. Because I love that man more than I love what I was doing for them. You say, well, yeah, your pockets got thinner. Yeah, all that is true, but I live my intention. I love my people. And so in that very moment, when We get beat down by so many kind of things, and I had that little bit of power. I used that power to help the people. And yeah, because he was a brother. Yeah, I absolutely say that. Because he was a brother, I helped him. So, and just move on from it. That's all. You just got to say and recognize it. You got to recognize shit when it's over. When it's over, it's over. Move on. Now I know the financial hits of jobs is that affects your well being, but even depending on how old or young you are, even that can be overcome. You just keeping on the same grind you did at that place. Take it to somewhere else. So that is kind of how you do it. Trees are older and carrying souls in the earth. Imagine a world without trees. Yeah. Walking trees. Yeah. Walking and speaking trees. Remember, the trees could walk and trees could speak. Created by the Creator for the one we love. You got a real soul, OG. Well, thank you, Jason. Thank you. So I mean, these are things that wow, that time really went by. I've got a little more energy now, and I've taken because my leg was starting to hurt. I didn't know how long, but I think the painkillers have or the muscle relaxers have kicked in a little bit. So I'm gonna have to go a little further. Leg stop hurting. Let me give the divination. For those of you, I think we're on a new. Pretty sure we're on a new cycle. I think we're back to the east. Read, 13. Pretty sure. So we got to be at 13 cartoons, 13 batoons, 0 cartoons. We're on 8 tunes. We're on 6 Uno, and we're on 13 kin. And if I'm not mistaken, 13 kin would end up being 13 kin would be Ben's, Skywalker, Pillars of Heaven and Earth, Aspiration for Uniting Heaven and Earth, the Principal Growth of Higher Minds. And yes, we are on a new, right here would be Ben. So, time to plug in. For those of you that like fractals, Ben is also considered Reed. Oh, I have to go here. Oh, here we go. Yeah. In this card image, we see the reed as Mother Earth protecting the human beings. She is dressed as the quassel bird to represent the beauty of nature. On top, we see the reed that has been used to build a ceremonial arrow. The reed is a plant that starts its life being small and fragile, but later becomes a strong, long pole. Even though the initial stage of the reed may seem weak, the potency of the igniting fire is always there. It will grow, become stronger, and eventually it will provide light through burning. The other source of the reed's strength comes from its flexibility. If the reed was too rigid, strong winds would break it. Your life can be seen as being much like the reed. At the beginning, or even at this moment in your life, which is the beginning of what you have left to live, you may not seem too strong, but your inner fire is there, waiting for you to relate it. Think about the words, I'll skip that. The human being is just like wood. It only gives light when it is burning. This is telling you that the best of you will only come out and illuminate the world when you are able to put all your passions into doing something you really care about. Don't forget that the fire is there within you all the time, just waiting for you to know what your passion is and find your willingness to embrace it. But their strength will become nothing in an instant if you are not able to nurture and sustain it with some level of flexibility. The hallmark of the reed is strength with flexibility. That is why it prevails. The reed card is inviting you to visualize the situations you are going through as facing the strength of the wind. And if you are too rigid to your approach, you can break, meaning no good will come to you. And I think, you ask the question about, I think, Woke, you asked that question about how you move from stuff. And that's the thing is, you have to be like the reed, and maybe this was for you because you have to be like the reed. You have to be flexible. And so when you don't feel loved anymore, that's okay. You just have to be like the reed. It's the time to bend. Or it could be a time to stand strong. You might have to be a little stronger to get used to the change. And I know it's not just it's not just just love. It's not just that, but even we just get attached to so many different kind of things. It's love, just relationships in general, jobs, stocks, and all these kind of things that can affect hold on to us. So that's not an easy thing. Time goes by. When you are enjoying yourself, definitely, James. My mom passed away this month on her birthday from cancer. If it gets better and you have to move on with your life, there are good days and bad days, whatever you're going through. Yeah. We'll get better. Yeah, it should get better. Should get better because the person that passed, they had good days. So if you deny yourself because of their passing of having any good days, that person, however long they lived, you imagine they had good days. So you should too. Their passing shouldn't be the end. So, and just whatever, you have trouble releasing. That's a problem my mother has. My mother has trouble releasing things and it makes her mind wander. But you just have to, what do you say? You got to blow that shit out. You just have to blow that shit out, pretty much. Take a hit and blow it out and move on. White Widow was the best weed I smoked, but got some trash ass weed down here in Australia. Oh man, I don't have my thing. Yeah, I just been doing wax and crumble, and it's the bomb. This little thing you can take anywhere. I smoke this shit with my daughter in the room. My house don't smell like weed because this shit don't smell like shit. It don't have a smell, not really. So it's the perfect thing just to sit here and get blowed. I'll be sitting here blowed, and my daughter's sitting right here, and I'll be feet away from her. And normally, if you had a blunt, everything would smell like that shit. This shit has no smell. Has no smell. You carry it and get it on as you go. You're right. There's also a path to death. I know this because my mom passed away when nothing was right, and when I saw her one day was different. Later on that day, it got bad. I get you. My mother diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Oh, okay, Sosa. Wow. Sorry to hear that, Sosa. No, I just looked up to see were you the one that said trash weed in Australia. So I wasn't laughing at that, Sosa. I was just reading, trying to remember, was that you that said the stuff about trash ass weed down there? That scene that day was planned to leave my mom. I can see. Okay. Do you ever fear of not being remembered? I do. Remembered by who? I'm going to try to put hydrogen peroxide therapy. Oh, okay. Yeah, I deal with a little bit of that myself. But not being remembered. And I guess that could go into not leaving your mark on the world, but you did. And it's not like you didn't know people. People like you or not still have opinions still one day. Like it's like what I said, one of my roommates is now blind. He has diabetes and he's blind. He can remember the day where I bought a pound of weed and I bought a pack of papers, not one pack. I mean, a box, a carton of papers and a bunch of lighters. So, I mean, the people that you just come across in your life will remember you because of shared experience, of shared moments. Here's a man that can't see, hasn't been able to see for at least 30 years. But yet he can tell me, he can visualize that day with all clarity. So you will be remembered. You will make a mark on the world because there was somebody that knew about you. You knew somebody. There ain't no humans that don't know anybody. So no matter what they feel about you, somebody still knew you. So you have left a mark on the world. Now, I'm lucky enough. I have 5 sons, so it's a good chance that my name will continue on a little bit. Just as the Ampies that was in the Boston area joined up with the Sapani people, The Wampanoags joined up with Saponi people, and they found a place in Michigan. They tried Indiana, and Quakers and the Europeans there fought them out because they were successful. And then they found out when they went to Michigan, people wasn't fucking with them because they had ran all the Potawatomis out, and the Potawatomis came to Minnesota. When some went into Chicago, some went all the way to Minnesota. All right, yeah, and the Obawegies the same way, because it was the people that was fighting in Pontiac's war with the Obawegies and a lot of the Potawatomi, Manamis, Miamis, Illinois. They was all fighting with Pontiac. It was the Cherokee that was fighting with the British. So, yeah, you'll be remembered. You remember yourself. You know, that's the thing. Love yourself, regardless. Regardless. We are all special. We are all special. There's you do something no other motherfucker in the world can do. We all have those abilities. And so remember that. You are special. We're all, everybody on there watching, you are all special. There is something about you nobody else can exactly replicate. And that's the beautiful thing about this existence. And then we can kind of get along with other motherfuckers that's got these same abilities. That's what it is. And I agree, I've said this many times before, I agree with the witch. You know, you have to live with love. I ain't talking about amore. I'm talking about live with love. Life is about being in love with life. Being in love with existence. Like this plant. I love this plant with all my heart. I love this other one. I love my cats. Now, if they die, they're going to get put in the bag and thrown in the trash out there. But I treat them with kindness and love. Now, I throw slippers at my female cat, fucking with shit. Doesn't make me want to throw her out. So, love her above. Oh my goodness, this allergy stuff. This allergy stuff, this snorting and groaning. I replay myself, and I'm just, I'm glad I'm cool with I think it's PNF. I'm glad I'm cool with him because he be getting them motherfuckers. He showed the motherfucker like turned his head, the motherfucker snorted the line and shit. The motherfucker got white powder on his shit. I'm like, don't think that of me. My cocaine days, I haven't done any cocaine since I can't even think of the last time I did some cocaine. The 90s, late 80s, 90s, maybe in the 90s and shit. And so that is nothing I ever consider. I have allergies. But I watch myself and I'm snorting and grumping and snorting. Like last night, I left the window open. I could just, the pollen just hit me. So please forgive me for that. I know a rapper named Forte down here who sold weed to Snoop when he came here. He gave Snoop some of the finest stuff we have, and Snoop said it was some trash. Wow. Oh, that's kind of funny. And he said it wasn't any good. That is kind of funny. That is kind of funny. I guess it's just different people. I don't know. The stuff I got is the bomb. I've been blowed for months, and it's just that constant blowedness. Or as my old teammate used to call it, let's get funky blind. Now is the time to get funky blind. That's what my boy Count would say. Let's get funky blind. He's like, Gignon, let's get funky blind. My man. I doubt. I know my mom had lung cancer. Okay. Right. I have no kids myself. Okay, James. Do you like Terry Cummings? Yeah, Terry was they brought, because Terry's my age, they brought Terry into Dr. Tucker's camp, ninth grade. Yeah, because they brought Terry, because Terry, if I'm not mistaken, Terry's from Chicago too. And they brought Terry in with Isaiah. I'm pretty sure. And the first time I saw Mark Aguirre. So I want to remember let me see where Terry Cummings is from. I think Terry is from Chicago. I know Skip Dillard was from Chicago. That was a bad. I tell you, y'all love old hooping. Go watch Larry Bird play DePaul. Indiana State, DePaul 79. That was one of the best games ever. Best games ever. And Larry Bird put that work in on some brothers that could really hoop. Mark Aguirre, I would think, was a freshman, and Mark Aguirre was hooping. I mean, where is ex-NBA player Terry Cummings from? Yeah, Terry Cummings from Chicago. That's what I thought. Wanted to double check. Terry's my age. Big guy. Yeah, 79, 82. Yeah, he's my age. He ended the draft at 82. Yeah, that was the first time I met him, Mark Aguirre, and Isaiah. I think I was ninth, year, Dr. Tucker's camp. Mark, he had Magic working it. Kelser was working it. Jay Vincent was working it. Who else? Jim Long. 1 year, Dr. J came down. 1 year, Dr. J came down because Dr. Tucker knew Dr. J. He came down to the camp. So, but Skip Dillard, I'm trying to think of, that was a team. That DePaul, they had a team. Old Coach Myers. My cousin, that's the mayor of Ben Harbor now, Marcus Muhammad, played over under Coach Myers' son, Joey Myers. But Terry and them and Mark Aguirre, they played for the old man Myers. Same like Dave Corzine was probably the first good player he ever got. And then he got Mark Aguirre. I know Skip Dillard, but it was a bunch of them mugs that could hoop. And then later I heard one of the players was homeless, strung out on the bus, homeless. Can you imagine that? Like you play in the Final Four, and then when the college don't work out, the pro don't work out, and you find yourself like within 5 or 6 years and you just busted. I can't think of his name. Skip Dillard is the name that just always stood out, but I used to know this other guy's name. I'd have to look up the starting five. But yeah, but that's a great game. You guys love hoop and watch that game. It was way better than the championship game. Because, Larry Bird was standing against Kelser 6'8", Magic 6'9", Charles 6'8". It was just, he didn't have enough, because he had a dude named Nix that played with Larry Bird at Indiana State, and Nix couldn't do it. Now, Nix did it to everybody else, but Nix couldn't do it to Magic and them. And so they shut him out. It's hard to believe that they once thought that Albert King and Eugene Banks was better than Magic. UCLA didn't even ask Magic to come out there, but yet it brought King and Albert King and Eugene Banks. Eugene Banks was one of the first brothers to go to Duke, and he never won a championship, but in 70, 78, 77, I think Kentucky won the championship. Eugene Banks was on the deep. Mike Jaminski and Eugene Banks was on that Duke team. And so it wasn't just Szczynski. It wasn't just Szczynski that was keeping Duke. It was actually the coach before Szczynski that took Eugene Banks in there. But Banks and Albert King was a little better. And I've said this before. Albert King should have went straight pro. He had it. He was ready. And going to college lowered his game. I've said the same thing about Felipe. Felipe should have went straight pro too. He shouldn't have went to college. College lowered his ability. They were ready. Rocky, Australia is an anagram of a trial, USA. How do you feel on cocaine? It's a hard thing to explain. Like at a point, it made me feel like I was going to have a heart attack. I ain't a good feeling. Like you're going to do this drug and the drug is going to give you a freaking heart attack, like a panic attack. Your shit I never got. Some people like that rush. But freebasing is super intense. Like freebasing is almost like going from sitting here and you like going a ride, and it just kind of gives you that just crack doesn't really give you that. Like crack is more of a like if you freebase, it's like you go 0 to 80. Crack, you go 0 to 40. And then you trying to do it again because you're trying to go 0 to 40 again. Where freebasing, that shit was so intense that you're going to wait a little while to try to ride that shit again. Freebase, but crack, that shit will last for about 20 minutes, and then you want to do it again. And you keep wanting to get that 0 to 40. And that's why it was so cheap and so addicting, because after a while, you don't even feel like you're going 0 to 40. You be doing this shit and you don't even feel that anymore. I'd watch people and I could tell, like, what the fuck you doing this shit for? It don't even look like you're getting anything out of it. But mentally, like I said, the story about Kalamazoo, these motherfuckers weren't even smoking crack. They were smoking something else. These motherfuckers was acting like they was getting high off that bullshit. I don't even know I think it was like some benzocaine mixed with that shit. I mean, so little cocaine, there's no way you could get high with the shit. No way. No way you could get high with that shit. But these people was acting like they was getting high. And it wasn't even cocaine. This is the sickness that it will do. Motherfuckers think they getting high. But there's no way they could get high from this substance. It's nothing in it that would get you high. But it was all up there. And these people going around like, I've told the story many times, even on this channel. So but that's the feeling. Like, okay, so smoking crack, 0 to 40, if you snort it, it would make you feel like you was going like 0 to 30. So that's it. It's like that rush. I only smoke nothing on those. He's a pastor somewhere, I do believe. Oh, okay. Yeah. Terry Cummings is a pastor. I think you're right about that. I think I did hear them stories about Terry Cummings being a pastor. Scripting of season comeback for the Celtics versus Lakers. The Celtics fell to 17 a couple games back. The Celtics is always a good story, but I still think that, again, who's the positives? I mean, look at the ratings. Who is bringing in ratings for the Celtics? The only positive would really be with Tatum. Tatum has that commercial. So when you see that, but remember, Green has the commercial, and they might not even make the playoffs. But Spider Mitchell has the same commercial. So, and the big fella, the big center, Jabat or whatever his name is, remember, he's turned himself into a positive. So to me, that overweighs. I'm looking at the ratings, and that overweighs. Utah is pulling decent ratings. Boston, for some reason, does not seem to pull in national ratings. I think it's a lot of hate, and people think, Boston won it all in years. I don't know. But Boston does not seem to rank well nationwide. That's what they look at. Philadelphia tends to. People like Doc. Embiid's commercials did well. Now the Australian cat is playing better. Ben Simmons is playing better. So he's turning that neutral into a positive. That's why I still like that matchup. So, but we'll see. I mean, it is historic. Was Pooh Richardson really going off it? I can't say. I heard stories because Pooh was here. So I can't say. I can't say when he was here he was like that. Can't say. I think he's from LA. He's an LA cat. So I don't think he was strung out here. He might have got strung out there. But I told this one cat that played at the University of Michigan. He was a Bostic. I ain't gonna say his first name, but Bostic. He played at Michigan, and he went to the when they were still in Houston, the Houston Oilers. And he became strung out, fucked up all his money. Like Deontay West. This Bostic cat did the same thing. And he had money. He had money and fucked it all up. Getting strung out on Kane. Kevin Loader. Fuck him. Fuck Kevin Loader. Kevin Loader was the same way. He was playing with the Kansas City Kings. Got all cracked out. When I was a cop, he was working for me for a minute. He beat me out of some money. And when I was a cop, he was in jail. And I talked these motherfuckers, let me go in his cell, and I socked the fuck out of him. And I cut off one of my boys, him and one of my boys. I had to cut this nigga off. He was like one of my best friends when I was younger. And, Kevin was hooping and this was my guy. And so 2 things is like they never paid me back. And then my guy tried to set me up too. And so I still don't fuck with him. It's been, I ain't fuck with them niggas in like 40 years. And my guy is like, his nephew is by my aunt. His nephew is by my aunt. So, but I can't fuck with him. And I hear that he's still the same age, still cracked out. Bob is his name, but I don't fuck with him. And fuck him and Kevin Loader. But Kevin Loader threw it all away like that. Fucked all his money up, free basing. And after basketball went away, hey, that money don't stay long if you ain't invested right. Why do they give so much time if you have possession of crack? The media keeps giving them attention the whole year, talking about how bad they're playing. That's a good point. Why do they give so much time if you have possession of crack? Well, that was that thing with Biden. That of all the work Jesse Jackson did, that was the point he made, and they eventually changed the laws. And it might have been Obama who changed the law, because at one time, if you got like it was a famous case where this motherfucker got caught with a lot of powder. He had like a half key of powder, and this dude got caught with a half pound of crack, and the dude with the crack got that life without no parole shit. That's what really gave White Boy Rick life without parole, was because he got caught. It was like, if you got so many grams, it was life without parole. My boy did 16 years until they said that shit was cruel and unjust. But White Boy Rick stayed under that. They found a way to keep him in jail, even though they let everybody else out. One lady they gave life to, she picked her man up, drove him home from the airport. They got stopped. They gave the dude life without parole. They gave his sister life without parole. And she just picked dude up. So that was cruel and unjust. And so what my point about Jesse Jackson is, Jesse Jackson got on him, and I think it was Obama that finally changed the laws that said you can't say, like I said, there was a case where this European dude got caught with a half a key of powder, and this brother got caught with the same amount of crack, and the brother got life without parole in another state. This white dude got like 4 or 5 years. That was it. This European cat got 4 or 5 years. And so that was no way right, because they did that purposely, because at one point, Europeans tended to be more powder people or freebase. Brothers, when, when the community was just hit with the cheap crack, because again, cocaine in the powder form was more of a rich person's thing. That's it. Now, not like people wore gold. Understand this psychologically. Just like people wore gold, when you did cocaine in, say, the late 70s, early 80s, you was a motherfucker that had money. You doing something everybody can't do. So I would go to parties, and if I would have a half ounce, I'm the motherfucking man. Because a lot of people ain't really affording it like that. You understand? At one point, it was looked at like that, like, dude, so-and-so make the party. Like, I would have the motherfuckers invite me to parties, and I would be the goddamn party. That's what how they would look at it. Like Richard Pryor said, I got to give this motherfucker a party. It was like, because everybody couldn't afford it, and for one thing. So that's like I was seeing was dudes coming back from the league. They was, as I was still in A&T, dudes who was coming back from the league was bringing powder back. Because that's what it was. It was people with money at first. And see, that's the thing. Let me see. Let me read this. They keep comparing Tatum to Kobe. In the last playoff, maybe he starts carrying the Celtics like Kobe. We'll see if he can. There's a project in the city getting demolished, and shit you not, the end of the drug dealers. That's because they lost crackheads. They started breaking sheetrock for the same thing happened in Chicago. They couldn't control the police couldn't, after they sniped one of them Illinois State police. Yeah, they stayed out of the projects. They let them do what the fuck they wanted in the project. That's one reason why they tore them down in Chicago. Taylor Homes, Cabrini Green, all that shit. The demolished halls projects, they were scrapping the walls to get the electric sheetrock. Like up here, what they do is an empty house. They'll go in the house and steal the copper. That's what they was doing here. Tell us some stories from your hoodlum years. Some stories from my hoodlum years. Oh, I don't know even know. I mean, the funniest story is the shit I've told before. All day I'm just snorting. And it was Richard Pryor. I don't remember what, maybe with him and Gene Wilder, where they're wearing the chicken suits in jail. And I knew the movie had been selling out. So a guy wanted to buy extraordinary amount of just 8-ball. And he was like, look, this is what I want. I want 28 balls for $300. Cool. It'd have been cheaper to buy like a Big 8 or some shit like that. But that's what he wanted. And we met at the movie theater. But I got there first. And he was with my cousin. So I got there first. I went into the movie theater, bought the tickets, and was wondering why people was looking at me. Dealt with my cousin, sold him that, got the money. And I'm sitting in the car and I look up. And my fucking nostrils are both just packed white. I mean, like this white shit is just both my nostrils are fucking packed white. I had my ribs broke one time. Had a motherfucker hit me with a bat, broke my ribs on a deal. Had to shoot his ass. So he lived. Motherfucker, I didn't kill nobody, but I had to shoot a motherfucker. I have a guy try to rob me for fucking Weed. One time, tried to rob me over fucking weed, and had to almost kill this guy over that shit. Trying to think, just it can be a very shady thing, you know. It's people that try to sell you motherfucking powder and fake shit. I done sold people fake shit before. The person, you know, I just took, you know, like especially weed. I would just take weed from motherfuckers. Motherfuckers get so scared they just throw the weed to you. Don't hurt me, just take the shit. You know, pull a gun on the motherfucker. Got a couple pounds of weed. They ain't really. You see that they ain't really gangster. They just doing it for the fun of it and got to connect. Motherfuckers that throw the weed at you, you're like, oh fuck, just let me go. That's how, you know, just let me go. So, like this is sensual shit. You could put like it would be chicks that would just let you put powder like all over them and shit. Like you just put cocaine powder and you snort the shit off her, you know, off her body and shit. That kind of shit. Shit, it's chicks that you know, you do the same thing to your joint, and you know, because it numb your mouth. So a lot of chicks would like giving you head because it numbs your mouth. And so a lot of people would get it, and you know, I never liked that feeling. I didn't understand. I'd like sock somebody, waste my shit. Especially if I would give it to them when they hanging with me, and they'll put that shit in their mouth. Pow! You know, I don't play that shit. Don't eat my fucking shit. But yeah, that kind of shit. But yeah, there's chicks that I had my jaw broken. Okay. Blaze his ass for that. Yeah, you have to. You was thug and trap. And I mean, motherfucker thought, I mean, really the dude was trying to kill me. And I blame my friend because he wasn't watching. You know, I'd been over to get the money, and I went to get the money and my friend just froze. He hit me and my friend froze. But the guy didn't realize I had that 40 on me. Pow! Shot his ass. So this ain't no DJ Vlad. There's no way I can be tied to anything. The people and the instances, no way I could ever be tied to anything. But yeah, fucking motherfucker thought I quit thinking, and that shit hurts. I mean, motherfucker break your ribs. That shit, like, I probably damn near passed out. I probably almost passed out. I mean, the pain was that excruciating, but it was just back then all that training I had kind of overrode that. So the survival instinct overrode that, the pain. Like, fuck that. I gotta keep thinking. Can't stop thinking because pain. I can't make pain make me stop thinking. And that's what happens to some people. Remember what she said in Johansson said in Lucy, when she stabbed him in the hand with both knives? She said, all you can think of right now is pain. There's nothing else you can really control or you can concentrate. And my years of being trained helped me in that instance, because I ain't just concentrating on the pain. It knocked the fucking wind out of me and everything. But you just go on. Fuck Vlad. There you go. They say, who's that looking at the window? I've been in shootouts and shit, and that shit ain't fun. I mean, that shit ain't fun. I ain't talking like that shit was fun. That shit ain't fun. Motherfuckers shooting at you ain't fun, you know. And motherfuckers especially wildly shooting at you with families is around, that shit ain't fun, you know. That is one of the worst ways, you know, that's hearing bullets go by, hearing bullets hit shit, because bullets, you can hear it, bullets hit shit. Bullets, boom, 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 boom. And you have to realize that's gunfire. So you have to fire back. So robbing people, though, I mean, that was kind of fun. It's a rush to rob people. People slipped and you rob them. It's a rush. Luckily, I didn't rob anybody with murderous intentions. It's like most of the people I robbed, they went on with their lives. It ain't like they're gonna be looking for me next week. Then that's you know, but that's part of it. That's how people look at it. And I had people come to me, you know, it was like, we hear you're doing this and we would hope you quit. And I'd have family members crying, like, please, I don't want you to die. And you're like, well, you know, there ain't no jobs. And there's nothing else I can do to make this kind of money. So I don't want to hear that shit. And that's how you think, you know, and it becomes a drug. The money becomes a drug. And if you're doing both, you know, it's you know, you get addicted to both. I mean, when I say you snort until your shit just collapse, and then we start putting preparation H up our nose. because preparation H is, it is made to unswell membranes. I mean, that's how sick motherfucker was. Motherfucker, your body telling you to quit the shit, and you find a way to override your body by sticking ass oil up in your nose. So, no, you're right. The game ain't for nobody. Yeah, bullets make a snapping noise. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's literally like you start hearing it hit shit. You like hearing it hit shit. And if it's hitting metal, it makes, if it hits metal, it does make a snapping noise. But you start hearing that, and that's shots coming at your ass. It ain't like, ain't nothing else sound like a bullet when the way you hear it around you. And you got metal doors and shit and metals around you, Or if you start shooting at somebody and you see the sparks at the street, from your bullets shooting at people, and you see where the sparks going, and you got to aim higher because you're hitting the street. It's like he said in 21 Bridges, a lot of people, again, without training, can't even shoot straight. A lot of people just blindly fire. I had 3 guns shooting at me compared to me just had 1. I only had like a 32. I had one dude shooting a 45 at me and 2 9s. I mean, the fucking 45 put a hole in my door like this. You could see where the 45 had hit. And I'm shooting, I had a 32. Lucky to have the 32 then. Just fucked around and went and bought a gun out the humbug. Went and got the permit and just bought it out the humbug to have it. And lucky it saved me that night. Made them motherfuckers leave me alone. Because motherfuckers was dirty motherfuckers. It was like they was going around robbing motherfuckers, and then they would rape their girl. They would make you stay there until all 3 of them raped her, and then they would take your weed and your money and go. That's what they was doing to motherfuckers. And I was like, I wasn't having that shit. I couldn't live with anything that happened around me. I wouldn't let a woman go through that shit. So I wasn't having that shit. I stopped them motherfuckers. And I started off without a gun, Yeah, it ain't for everybody. And I ain't bragging like it was the greatest life, because it really wasn't. You never sleep, motherfucker calling you all the time. I mean, dealing with, the motherfuckers knocking on doors where they think you at and shit. It's just, it becomes hectic. Cops get jealous. If you driving certain cars, they see you with jury, they get jealous. And they'll stop you just because they jealous. They know you got your license and all that shit. And they'll stop you just because they jealous. They see a nice car. There was a big case in Battle Creek. I remember my friend Jackie's brother came in town. He was driving the S-Class, like he had a 90, 91 S-Class. This guy got stopped 5 times within an hour. Every block he went, motherfuckers was stopping. And he ended up suing the motherfuckers for doing that shit. He got stopped 5 times in one day. Now, once you hear the shit over the radio, everybody hears the license and knows the Mercedes. So it ain't like they just, but that's what they used to do. They would get jealous of you. You living in a nicer house than them, they would get jealous of you. Just your presentation, the way you dress better than them. They think that they should be wearing better clothes than you wear, or driving a better car, and they have some shit on it, And again, the most prosperous drug dealers in Michigan was a lot of the cops. The most prosperous drug dealer in Battle Creek, Michigan was a cop. This cop had the most trap houses. This cop had so much power. When my friend became the police chief, he had to call the feds to give him some help because he couldn't control it. It was people that this cop was paying off, and the ones he paid stayed with him. And the other half of the department, matter of fact, it was more people he paid off than people was on his side. And so he called the feds and brought the feds in on his ass. And that didn't stop dude. And I saw dude retire there. Dude retired. They let this motherfucker retire. This motherfucker, like, he would take out his competition. He let certain people, because I know this one girl that was a family friend, she always would freaking get busted, or her dudes would get busted. She's still out there. And I said before, the same cop started the gangs in Battle Creek. This one dude who I knew was a snitch started the gang. And yet I knew he was a snitch. And I knew I was best friends with his dad. And his dad, like, yeah, he had to do what he had to do. Because I asked his dad, I was like, and he didn't say yes or no, but he was like, yeah, he had to do what he had to do. So, yeah, he did. And this dude is the gang leader. So, wow, that's fucking crazy as fuck. No one need to do that to a woman. Yeah, Yeah, it was sick. It was sick as fuck. I know some people that happened to. Matter of fact, my my daughter's it would be my oldest daughter's uncle. That's what happened to him. Now we come to find out one of the dudes that was doing that shit she was messing with, so she set her husband up. But the other two dudes ran through her too. But I think she was with it because she was messing with one of the dudes. We found out later she was messing with one of the dudes. And they damn near wanted to rape her uncle. You know, he said he didn't do nothing, but they had got a couple people like that. Mm-hmm. Yep. Sure did. Sure did. There was some people I know that got that done to him. So I think the girl, her aunt, her uncle's wife, but her uncle fucked him up. He was like, at one time, this dude was one of the best solid weed dudes. Real cool. He knew I was messing with his sister, and we'd go over there and chill. And after that, he ended up getting strung out. Matter of fact, he went to prison. Now I think about it. This cat ended up going to prison where he was just one of the chillest dudes, nothing but bud. And after that, I heard he started, smoking crack and shit. Probably made him go a little crazy. Because after that, too, the woman left him. His wife had left him, too, not too long after that. So he was kind of fucked up. But I remember before that, it was a dude I dug him. His sister was living with a man, and I was messing with her. I messed with her for 10 years while she was living with the motherfucker. But yeah, it fucked him up. He ended up doing some time. Do you know about Steve Coakley? Not really. I think only thing I know about him, I think Sly mentioned him, that he got kidnapped or something, but I don't really know who he is. I don't know any of his work. So, no, I know him from hearing Sly say that name, but offhand, I don't know that name. Yeah. I don't know who that would be. So this life is cool. Just being myself now, smoke weed, that's it. Drink beer. So that's a better life. That's a better life. It's a much better life. But I know dudes, like I talked about my friend Johnny. Johnny working at Post fucked his job up because of crack. He would still be, if he's alive, he could still be working at Post. Johnny was a little older than me, but I saw that kind of thing where motherfucker, Post gave him every chance in the world. He was making like $60 an hour. Post gave him every chance in the world. And then finally they said, fuck it, and gave him all that money. And he was so stupid, the dudes would come to me, and the dudes, I would sell them, say, 7 grams, quarter. And they would tell him they was getting him an 8-ball. So then he would send them to go get some more, and they would resell him the dope he done bought already. That's how stupid Johnny was. And they gave him a nice little severance package. He got like 30, 40, 50,000. Maybe from his IRA, I don't remember, but he had a night, and it wasn't long before he went through that shit. Can't say if he's alive. His brother, who was truly my best friend, I know he's dead, and he got him on it. One of the niggas that I loved, of all the dudes in my life, this one guy I really loved. And he, we used to hoop, hang out. He always liked Booger Bears. That was just kind of his thing. But I, as just my partner, I really loved that guy. And then me and his dad became best friends. And Rick was just my guy. And Rick got on that shit. And Rick, I don't know what the fuck he did. Rick went to jail for 3 or 4 years. Then he ended up killing the dude while in prison. He ain't go to jail, he went to prison. And he, like, you look him up, and Rick does not have a release date. So whatever the fuck he did, whoever he killed, he got life. But he was just fun guy. He was just, when I met my wife, it was because of him. My 3 boys' mother. If it wouldn't have been for Rick, I'd have never met her. He's like, come on. I was like, Rick, man, I done smoked a joint. I done drank a quarter beer. I'm good. He's like, come on, man. You told me you was going to take me to the club. And that's where I met my boy's mother. So if I wouldn't have went out that night, I wouldn't have met her. And it was because of Rick. And I ended up meeting her. Matter of fact, I almost beat a dude's ass. I danced with her and sat down and was kind of macking on this other chick. And again, I'm fresh a cop. And this dude started rolling up a joint. I'm like, you really shouldn't roll that up in front of me. He's like, why, are you a cop? I'm like, yeah, I'm a cop. He's like, well, you shouldn't. And I had to bust him in the mouth. I just kind of had a short temper. And the girl I was macking on was like, yeah, you're a cop. You're not cool. I'm like, yeah, don't talk shit to me. I will beat your ass. And so I saw her leave the club, and I ended up talking to her. And yeah, went for Rick, but Rick was my man. I mean, and his father became one of my really, really best friends. And it was sad to see that he died because he was smoking and shit. And it saddened me. You know, Junior was my best friend. He had worked for General Motors, had to retire because he hurt his back. Used to go with this girl I grew up with. So, you know, he was my guy. And yeah, Junior, they found Junior naked in the middle of the street dead. And this was sad. And that was one time was my good friend. But Rick is just, if you ever met a dude who's just bubbly personality, everybody liked him. Rick was that dude. And I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did. Somebody had told me they saw him breaking in a house and shit. His father told me some weird shit. So I don't know. I don't know what he did. But once he got in prison, he had to kill somebody. And he ain't never getting out. And his dad, you know, Junior was probably 7, 8 years older than me. But he died. Wow. Shit. Junior died before Brennan was born. So wow. I didn't even think about that. Brennan was born in 95. Fuck, man. Junior must have died 92, 93. God damn. Yeah. Maybe 94, 95 at the latest. Wouldn't even thought that. But that's just how you come across people. You know, you come across people and it's like when the people are normal and cool, they just you just enjoy. I mean, I took Junior everywhere with me. I used to take Rick with me because we hooped. And, you know, he like Junior had a 79, the two-door 79, kind of what is it, the DeVille? It's a sedan DeVille, and I can't think of but he had I for years I offered to buy that car from him. Because this wasn't a big Cadillac. This was like a 7980. And for years because it broke down and he didn't fix it. And I always try to give him money. I would put the cash down on the table like, Junior, let me have this goddamn car. You ain't doing nothing with it. Let me have it. And he would never sell it to me. And I don't know what became of that Cadillac, but it was pink. It was Mary Kay pink. And it was the only one in town. And he always kept it in the garage. That's why I wanted it, because it was always kept in the garage. And he wouldn't give it up. And I know, you know, he never did nothing with it. Was socking more miles than mankind back in the day. Now, the funniest story, the dude I beat up. So I had bought this shirt. My brother-in-law and I bought these shirts. And these shirts was exclusive shit we bought in DC. These was really, it was like only like 10 or 15 of these shirts was made. It was like each shirt had a number, and this shirt was some exclusive shit that we got from the motherfucker that made them. There's only like 10 shirts available. So my wife, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, we just having drinks, and this drunk motherfucker bumps into me. And he was like, and you know, it like some beer got on my shirt. I'm like, damn, motherfucker, what's wrong with you? And he's like, I'm not a motherfucker. Boom. And I just smacked him. And what was funny is when I hit him, he fell into a jukebox. And the jukebox, the old jukebox, nothing but plastic top. He bounced off that motherfucker and bounced back up, and I hit him again and knocked him back into that. And they put him out because they knew he was wrong, but he talked that shit. Like, motherfucker, you done spilled beer on my shirt, and then you talk shit, you get your ass whooped. And then that was around my birthday. I think we had got married around that time too. We was at a party for 4th of July, and he had like 5 or 6 sons, and I'm at the party, and I'm there. And they wasn't gonna fuck with me. I beat that motherfucker's ass. And it wasn't his house, but all his sons and his family was there at these other people's house. I was like, fuck them. I heard my mother was like, well, you know, all his family is here. I'm like, and fuck all them. They ain't fucking with me. And of course they didn't. But I beat his ass up in the bar. We like our gear time. Oh, yeah. Oh, I was pissed. I mean, this shirt, and I don't even know what happened to this shirt. But this shirt, like, you know, when I wore it, it was like some of my nicest shit out to wear. And that shit, and then talk shit, you spill beer on me, and then it was like no one was in the bar. So it was really no reason for this motherfucker even to be near me. He was just drunk, and I think he liked my mother-in-law. So maybe he was showing off. But yeah, I beat his ass. But just the way he bounced off this shit. My wife will tell the story my ex-wife will tell the story how you laughing and shit. She'll have you laughing at that shit. The motherfucker bounced off the shit, and then I hit him again. And I think the second time he thought it'd be better to crumple straight down than bounce off of it. But it was funny. My wife would tell the story. She had to crack it up. Or my wife. She's like, yeah, you hit him, and he bounced off, and he bounced back up, and you hit him again. That was funny. Yeah, but it was like that shit, you know, no one in Michigan had that shirt, you know. It was just yeah, but just funny stories. Shit, when I got married, my fucking father-in-law poisoned me and shit. We was building a house and waiting for the house to get done, so we stayed with him till the house got done. And I know he fucking poisoned me. I lost like 20 pounds, and I know he fucking poisoned me. My father-in-law fucking poisoned me. He was always jealous of me. It was like this motherfucker he was stupid. He had never locked the house, and these motherfuckers robbed him. And we was all gone. And he would blame me. And I'm like, what the fuck you talking about? Me? I ain't take shit from you. So we left, you know, we found another place to stay until the house was done. And then he came back and apologized, but I never liked that motherfucker after that. Never liked him after that. Like, motherfucker, instead of you coming to me and saying, you know, help me, you know, this shit, I just lost this shit. Because we found out who did it. I found out who did it. Because some people was telling me about some neighbors, and I confronted his little ass. And I'm like, did you go up in that house? And yeah, I went in the house and I took his weed. And I'm like, okay, tell this motherfucker that. And he admitted that he did it. And dude was like, sorry. And I'm saying, instead of you coming to me and saying, you know, this happened, you know, can you help me? Yeah. Because you know, we was moving it like that. And I was like, fuck you. I ain't bringing you in. You know, you could have came to me and just came as a man and say, you know, this happened. You know, I'm kind of down. I'm like, cool. You know, cool. Let's keep going. He didn't do that. He did not do that. Time Lord sounded like he got a better record than Mayweather. Like the only fight I consider losing, Ronnie Dunnigan beat me up. I was in third grade, and we was doing some shit. And Ronnie gave me just, you know, a couple chicken wings and a biscuit. And I went home crying, and my father said, if you don't go back out there and fight him, I don't care what he do to you, but you take your punk ass back out there. And so Ronnie, I walked back out there and said, hey, what's going on? And I just stuck him. And then he did like not a combination. He hit me with probably 100 punches after that. Because Ronnie was probably in 5th grade when I was in 3rd grade. So I was like 8 and Ronnie was probably 11. And after I hit him one good one, bust his lip, he gave me about 100 punches. But that nigga loved me the rest of his life. He loved me for the rest of his life. So that's the only one I'll take as an L. Ronnie did beat me up, but I was 8 years old. So, but other than that, yeah, I didn't get beat up. I didn't fight at all in high school. I mean, we used to go to parties, and you know, a lot of Europeans would be doing the brothers, and they start fighting. Like that's why I always carried a hockey puck. My favorite move was throw a hockey puck at somebody. You hit them with that hockey puck, and then you rush them and start throwing them hands. So that was my thing. Mug like talking shit. And then I got a friend that's like Bruce Lee, Mark Crockett. Beat up. We was attacked by probably, I think it was 7 people. And Mark was like a 4 or 5 degree black belt. Mark was so bad. Mark was one of, and let me see, not 80, 84. Yeah, in the 84 Olympics, Mark was one of the karate coaches. And Mark Crockett. Mark was one of the first dudes too that like Lifetime Fitness, like I was talking about Bally's. Mark was one of the first ones that put them motherfuckers everywhere. This motherfucker had a crib in the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. He had like a fucking palace on the beach and shit. Mark was a bad motherfucker. But this one time we was coming out of club, and Mark was only 5'7", and shit. We wasn't outnumbered. We were not outnumbered. I mean, that motherfucker got to whooping these motherfuckers' ass and out swinging and stuff, and Mark beat up 6 people. I'll take 1. But he pretty much beat up 6 people. So they motherfuckers saying that one person can't whoop 6 people, that's some bullshit. I watched it. Mark fucked them people up. And it might have been the first time he ever used it in the street like that. But that motherfucker was doing his forms and shit. I mean, Mark was this dude at I think he got his first black belt at 13. So he was like a 3rd or 4th. He was probably maybe a 5th or 6th degree. His shit was all the belts and the things up the stripes was his suit. Mark was legitimate, but we whooped some ass that night. And we was only 17. He was a little older than me. So even though we was the same grade, Mark might have been 18 at the time, but he was a bad man. Again, he was a black belt at 13. Because when I joined, before I broke my toe, and that was it for me, he was already a black belt when I joined. Because my father was a black belt too. My father took martial arts for about 20 years. So I grew up with that shit. But Mark, he beat up 6 people. I'll take credit for one, but he pretty much beat up 6 people. Mark would fuck them up, and we was leaving. I'd go by and motherfuckers laying on the ground and just sock them again while they laying on the ground. Mark was like, leaving them alone. I'm like, hell no. And I would sock them on the ground. I used to like to fight. I mean, my best friend in college, we fought all the time. People thought we was crazy because we would fight each other. We would get drunk and we just fight each other. I mean, it was better than beating up students. They told us to quit beating up students. I had a student. We was watching they was playing football. Rarely snowed, and it was a dude who they was playing football and playing football in the snow. And this dude jumped in the air and caught a pass in front of me. And I'm watching him jump in the air, and I'm looking at his waist, and I just like hit him with this forearm, and I flipped him. I flipped him up in the air, and he landed, and he bust all this. I mean, when he got up, he just all bloody in his face. And he's like, man, you ain't even playing. What you hit me for? And I'm like, you say one more thing to me. And they was like, that's what the football players, leave him alone. And I had these dumb motherfuckers. It was like all ice. And I had these motherfuckers playing Red Rover. Motherfuckers didn't even know what this shit was. I was like, I showed them what to do. I said, okay, everybody on this side, grab hands, grab arm, grab hands. Everybody on this side, grab hands. And then I kind of did it slow and showed them how you run into the pile. But it was a thing of ice. And so I said, I'll go first. And I told my boy to go second. So they're all holding hands and shit. And I'm running, and I'm used to ice. And so I'm running, and then I just slid, and I took out about 5 people. I just ran into them like a body block. Knocked all their asses down. And then, I joined on the end because I told my friend to do the same thing. He came through and knocked out. I mean, I had him doing that shit. I had him doing that crazy shit. But me and him would get in the room and just fight. I mean, I liked fighting when I was young. I don't know. He got hit with that hockey puck. Oh, that was my weapon as a teenager. I stole my mother's knife, but I never carried it. But I always carried a hockey puck. So my grandmother was either you beating their ass or she beating me. Not having that from my grandmother. Yeah. Imagine talking shit to someone just to have a hockey puck flying at your head. You definitely could beat 6 people. When our friends are black belt is the truth. Yeah. Dorm room boxing when I enlisted, sword. Yeah, Rocky. Yeah, exactly. Like we when I was a sophomore, we took all the desks out the rooms, we took all the dressers out the rooms, and we just had mattresses because Holt Hall had a gym part where I used to hoop and try to keep in shape, but that's where all the mattresses was. So we put the desk out. Wasn't no desk. We just had closets for our clothes, but no desk. So studying wasn't a priority. And they called it the jungle room because I had fish nets and shit. Motherfuckers used to put fish nets up in the room, and we would just go at it. We would lift weights and shit and just fight. We would just fight. I mean, my best friend will tell you just like I tell my son thinks when he was 18 he could have fought me, and even though he's 6'5", he didn't like fighting as much as I did. I told him if he saw me at 18, I'd have beat his ass because I just like fighting. I could take a punch, and I could hit. I could really hit. Like I could jab you hard. I could even in a right hand stance, I could hit you like with a jab hard as I could. Hard as I could punch, I could hit you just from a jab. From this position, I could jab you and I could hit you hard as I could. Like my jab was like harder than I could solid hit you with a right. I could just be in this position and just bring it from the shoulder, and I could get a full hard punch like this. I could hit you hard with just a jab. And that's why Hank Grooms wanted me to box. I like training boxing, but I just thought it was stupid. I'm sitting there in the ring about to spar, and I'm thinking, I am not mad at this motherfucker. I don't dislike him, so what's the point? He was like, well, just practice. I'm like, I'm not mad at him, so I'm not going to fight him. Well, just practice. I'm like, this shit is stupid. What am I doing this for? And I just didn't like the sparring. It wasn't that I didn't like to fight, but I wasn't mad. It was hard for me to fight without being mad. And I know fighting with my friends was different, but the sparring shit, just like track, beating a motherfucker running wasn't no big deal to me. I just didn't get it. And the same thing with sparring. I just didn't really get it. I like just wrestling and fighting in the street. I didn't really like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. To me, it was like running track. I didn't get the point of beating the motherfucker run. So what? He beat me run. So what? I just didn't get it. Sparring was the same way. Like, so what? It wasn't the same to me. I couldn't spar with the veracity I could fight. It just didn't bring it out of me. I don't know. Oh yeah, I could just sock him. I mean, hit a dude, and that was my advantage. I just really could. Cause see, I'm both handed, but I'm more like even though I shoot right handed, I dribble like I read, I can eat. I could always shoot with both hands from basketball. And so like even now, like my arm is injured, and what I have to stop doing is naturally I reach for shit with my left hand. I don't reach for shit with my right hand. I have to catch myself because this shit is starting to heal, but I can't lift too much. But I'm naturally probably left-handed in a lot of ways. I'm kind of both-handed, but my natural reaction to pick up shit is to pick up shit with my left hand. And so I could just pull from here. That's why dudes like slap boxing, it was just, they didn't understand. If you let me slap you, I'm slapping the shit out you because I just could slap hard with my left hand. So people didn't like slap boxing with me because I get it. If I hit you, you hit. And I could take a punch. It was nothing to me. I could always take a punch. I could move, but just hitting me, that didn't stop me. Some dudes, you hit them, they done, but not me. I could take, because sometimes this is how I used to like to fight. Because I would counter punch people. It was like I would see how hard a person could hit. Or a lot of times a person will swing wild. So when they swing, I would let them swing just to counter them. Because I'm like, okay, I know this motherfucker can't hit hard. I'm like, go ahead. And I would let them punch. And then they would leave themselves open. So I would take a hit in it, but a lot of people just didn't have the wherewithal to keep their hands up. A lot of dudes, especially right-hand dudes, they would just throw that right. Now, my best friend growing up was left-handed. He used to give me trouble because he was left-handed. That shit didn't work with him. That motherfucker that was the only person I didn't like fucking with, was my best friend growing up, Jerry. Yeah. He was no joke. He had grown men. Again, he knocked fucking Leon Spinks out at the club. That mother Leon would talk shit to him, and if it wasn't for Leon's boys, Leon was gonna fall and be out. Yeah, Jerry was the only one I really wouldn't fight because he hit harder than me. He was beating up men. Jerry was beating up men like 16, 17. I mean, whooping niggas' ass, whooping grown-ass men's ass. And Elmer Weatherspoon was the baddest dude I ever saw. I saw him beat up about 8 to 12 cops. Just beat them up, and the chief came and said, Elmer, please quit beating my people up. And Jerry faced Elmer like didn't flinch. And Elmer was the baddest person I ever really saw fight. And Jerry stood up to Elmer because I think he was stealing. I had bought some candy from his record shop, and I think Jerry had been in there stealing, and so he confronted Jerry. And it scared the shit out of me because I'm like, this is one motherfucker I will not fight, and I will run because Elmer didn't play. But it was funny, Jerry stood up to Elmer, but Elmer had, I don't know if Tony was his son. I won't say Tony was his son. Like, nobody fucked with Elmer's son. It's like we would be in class and motherfuckers would be teasing him, and Tony was a really quiet cat. And I remember Jerry slapped some dudes in class. Like, what you fucking with him for? He's sitting back there by himself. He ain't messing with nobody. Why are you bothering him? And it was just funny that he confronted Elmer, but Tony, I just remember it seemed like he always was protective of Tony, though. And I think we all kind of, because of that, everybody was. And I just noticed Tony was in a lot of our classes. But even with me, it's like Tony would laugh and shit because I talk shit. But nobody messed with Tony. Plus, they knew Elmer, but he was protective of Tony, which I thought was odd. People never know. People don't go to the body either. I find it hard to fight if I'm not pissed too. There you go. So that was kind of how I felt. I'm like, I didn't get a thrill from boxing, I guess is my point. It just didn't give me a thrill. Fighting in the streets gave me a thrill, but the boxing shit, and I mean, Mr. Grooms, and then just the way my weight was, being 6 foot, about 6.5 foot, almost 6'1". I was probably 160 pounds. Like my cousin, like I told the story before, my cousin K-Dog knocked out Roger Mayweather. K-Dog, my cousin that got killed in the ring on ABC. Sean was one of the champions. Sean won Golden Gloves too. K-Dog won the Golden Gloves knocking Mayweather out, or Roger Mayweather. K-Dog knocked him out. And K-Dog was only, Sean had to fight bantamweight. K-Dog, he had to be 130, maybe. I don't know if he would have been welterweight. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, K-Dog knocked the shit out of him. And they like sparring. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. K-Dog, they're my cousins and shit. So I'd fuck around with them, but they'd be like, man, you ain't serious. I'm like, you're my cousin. I'm not going to knock you out. I'm not going to hurt you. You're like, just spar. I'm like, I don't get it. Why? Come on, just spar. I like training. I like hitting the heavy bag. I always like running back then, but I just didn't get it. Like it was the same way in track. It's like in football, all the dudes, I was the fastest receiver, and I beat them. So what? Yeah. People don't go to the body. A lot of people. It's funny when you knock the wind out of somebody too. You hit them like here, or you hit them there, because you can hit them like real low on their stomach, and then knock the wind out of them. And it's funny watch a guy who's like, oh. That's how dude just dudes makes the funniest sounds when you knock the wind out of Anytime somebody wanted to do harm, I'd spaz. And I mean, there's times I ran, I'd run sometimes, there's too many mugs, I'd run. I'm like, if the hockey puck wasn't going to get me by, I would run, I knew they wouldn't catch me. I'd run for mugs, and it ain't like I was strategic. And so I would run for people, just freaking take off. So, sometimes I knew when to fight and knew when to run, so just having fun though. That's why I say my son was like, he beat me up then. No, hell no. He wouldn't. He wasn't hard as I was. I was pretty hard for a young guy. That's why I went to college. It wasn't no punking me and none of that shit. I wasn't none of the motherfuckers that I wasn't going to fight. Like the one person that tried me in college, I pulled my belt on him. I was about to smack him with the buckle. And it made all of them not want to fuck with me. They was like, "You supposed to fight fair." I'm like, "Yeah, fuck with me." But the motherfucker talk shit because I called him. His name is Governor of Blackness. Now everybody just calls him Governor. And I've told this story before. And matter of fact, Governor was on The Wire. He was on The Wire when they're on the dock. He's the taller dude, really super dark skinned, handsome brother. I mean, his brother's 60, but if you've seen, he still is ripped. He got all that shit. Calvin Davis. You look up Calvin Davis. And but we used to first started calling this dude Billy Black, instead of Billy D, we was calling him Billy Black. He didn't like that shit. And he's like, motherfucker, he's like, call me Billy Black, see what happened. I'm like, fuck you, Billy Black. And he came to me and I took my belt out. I was about to pop his ass with the buckle. And he just froze. And he looked around at the rest of the team because there was a bunch of us walking together. And he really didn't know what the fuck to do. And I'm like, that's what I fucking thought. You ain't gonna do shit. But I remember the look on his face and the look around all the people. I was looking at everybody, and everybody looked at me like, well, damn, they didn't know what to do. But I was about to pop his ass with that belt. I was going to be like Pootie Tang. I'd have been like Pootie Tang, but I had a buckle like this, and I was about to hit him with that buckle. Pow! Right in the face. Pete, that means you really tapped in with your primal instincts. Oh, yeah. I had to learn that. Yeah, Pootie Tang, yeah. That was another thing is seeing red and just get mad, because I had a bad time. I almost popped my mom. She was beating on me. I'm like, enough. You mad. You beating on me because you was mad. I was about to pop her. I'm like, you going to stop hitting me? And I caught it. And it's like my mother's eyes got this big. My stepfather kind of looked at me because I was big as both of them by then. I'm like, I'm too big for you to be damn hitting on me. What is you hitting on me for? You mad. Fucking over the damn dishes. You beating on me because of the dishes. The fuck is wrong with you? I ain't cuss her out, but that's what I told her. I called my dad. I'm like, they're over here. I'm like, Dad, they're over here beating on me because I won't do the dishes. So I almost hit my mom. Tell him to quit beating on me. My dad came over there, he's like, what you hitting him for? What you beating on him for? Because he ain't do the dishes? Well, my mom was like, well, I told him to do the dishes so many times and he wouldn't do them. And so you beat on him. And then my stepdad tried to threaten me and he said that shit in front of my dad. My dad's like, you hit him, see what happened to you. But I called my dad. He came right over. I'm like, tell him to quit hitting on me. I'm too big for these people to be hitting on me. I'm gonna end up fighting them both. So stop hitting on me. And she never spanked me after that. She never spanked me after that. Yeah, but I used to have my temper was bad. As a little boy, fighting all the time. But I played football, knocking motherfuckers down. That was nothing. Knocking people down. And then when I'm with a football team, I got 60 people behind me. Like this is like, we have a college cafeteria. And, it's like about 7 or 8 lines of motherfuckers standing. And again, back then it was 5,000 motherfuckers. So you got 5,000 people more or less trying to get lunch. So it'd be, say it'd be 30 people in line. If it's one football player in the front of the line, we had a thing where if one person's there, we'll cut in front of him. We would just go in front of him and start passing trays back. And my 3 years of A&T didn't nobody ever say nothing. Like my ex-wife was like me and her, and I'm like, we was together going to eat lunch. I'm like, let's go. And I know she felt bad cutting in front of people, but she was with me, and that was just what we did. And it was just a thing. If one football player was in the line, we went to where they was. It was just a given. And again, it's 60 more of my brothers. So that's how we roll. We would just go in front of everybody, hand trays back. I know they're like, well, now you're doing, I'm retired and I've got all this. And what did that get cutting in line get you? Well, that's how it was. Yeah, I had a bad temper as a boy. But my father was a badass. I told a story before. It was a Charger and a Challenger, and they would come off the highway and they would do a quarter mile because you could start off 131. It was a turnoff, and it was pretty much a straight shot to the light. But the thing was, we lived across from a Marathon station that sold pop and soda, candy. And so we back and forth. It's children all up in these houses. And so my father was a gambler, and he always carried a little snub nose 357. And he told the dudes in the pool hall, he's like, if I see y'all asses racing again, see what happened. Sure enough, we standing out there, we running back and forth getting soda. And my dad was doing something. He heard them motherfuckers, and he had that pistol. He's like, no, these motherfuckers didn't. And soon as that Challenger and Charger come by, them Hemis come by, he's like, pow, 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 pow. He's shooting at the motherfuckers. And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. And all my friends are like watching my father just shoot at these motherfuckers. And he went to the pool hall and saw these niggas because he fucked them Hemis up. And they ain't never say shit to him. They ain't fuck with my dad. But I was in third grade then. And my father that was always my thing. I'm like, this man does not play. But he told him, and he sure did it. He shot at them cars like, fuck them. You're not going to kill one of these children because you fucking want to race. And they ain't never do shit. He shot their cars up and they ain't never do nothing to it. I played rugby since I was 4. And every time someone tried to run at me, no matter how big they were, I always had an instinct to really try to hurt them. It's a good thing to have. Oh, yeah. One time I played a little boy football game. I was in 5th grade, I think. I hurt this quarterback, so they put another quarterback in. I hurt him. They put another quarterback in. I hurt him. I think it was the second half, not maybe like the second half. It was still time left of the game. So they put the first person I hurt back in the game. And so he was running. I picked him up by the back of his jersey. I picked him up off his feet and I threw him on his head. And his mother said, you can't do that to him. And she comes out and starts hitting me. So I'm smacking this old lady. My father and mother run over. The coach runs over. They start fighting the lady. But I'm fighting the lady with my football equipment. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, lady? This lady was fighting me. And I was like, what's 5th grade? 10? I was 10 years old. And this lady is fighting me. And then my mom and my stepdad run over and the coach, and they're fighting the lady and they're fighting the husband. But I grabbed that guy and I just like, bam! She's like, you can't do that to my son. And she runs out there and she starts hitting me and shit. And my mother comes running. My mother's hitting her. My stepfather's hitting the husband. My coach comes over. He's fighting the coach. And I mean, we're like having a little mini riot and shit. But the coach was a big old cat. He was a big old cat. The coach was about 6'3", 250. He was a big dude. And so he mopped the other one. And my stepdad's fighting the father, punching him. And my stepdad would snap. He was the brother that would really snap. And even though, I fuck with him, he would snap on a person. He snapped on that dad. They had to pull him off this dad. My mom just slapping the shit out of this woman. Like, who are you? She jumped on her and stuff. And my mom was only 5 foot, but I was only 10. This one out there trying to fight me. It wouldn't always go my way. Sometimes I would get laid out badly, but if you get up and live to fight another day, it was like the concussion. I got 2 concussions in playing high school football, but one I had ran a pattern and I slipped and I was getting up because I think it was an interception. And as I stood up, a dude's helmet caught me right here. I mean, his helmet it was just perfect timing, and it knocked me out. And it knocked me out. And I just remember standing up, and I played. I ended up playing more, but it knocked me out. His knee hit me perfectly in my head and knocked me out. And just, I barely remember the day. It was so foggy. But that was one of the times I got knocked out in high school. Yeah, and sometimes that's how it goes. I got tackled hard by people. I've been punched hard. Again, I had 3 ribs broken. I got hit with a baseball bat. You know what that looks like? I mean, even now, it's still. And this was the thing. The boys was little. When I got these ribs broke, the boys were little. And they're always, they was little like, put on your lap little. And they're always like hitting me here. And then I'm trying to still hoop. I quit hooping for a minute because it's just I couldn't breathe hardly. That's when you're really, it's hard to breathe. And the boys would just always catch me. They would just always jump on me here. It just took a long time for that shit to heal. I mean, even like right here, I could still, like that's still painful. And this happened like 40 some years ago. No, this happened probably 30 some years ago. Right here, it's still sore as hell. Damn. All these years where the ribs was broke, it's still sore. But the kids would always, my children, would always catch me like, oh. So, yeah, like I said before, Jack Lambert, you look up Jack Lambert, he was the only man that ever scared me. He was a football player. I mean, football player-wise was Jack Lambert. He was number 58. I saw him at Kent State. He played at Kent State, and for some reason, I was over on the other team at Western. I was over on the other visitor side. I don't remember why I was sitting over there, but I remember sitting over there. And, just like when I played, you come out of the locker room and you go through, you got to go through the fans. And I remember seeing him, Jack Lambert, and I was like, oh, hell no. I almost quit playing football. I'm like, you telling me if I play to college, I got to look at somebody like him? That man scared me. He didn't have any teeth here either. And Jack Lambert had to be 6'3", 6'4". That was the most ferocious looking man I ever saw in my life. And that was the only football player that ever scared me was Jack Lambert. Again, when I saw him, I was probably 10 or 11, but he scared me. Look up Jack Lambert. He scared me. I remember at the start of the 7th grade, I was 11, about to turn 12, and me and one of my other kids had the balls to step up and play the 14, 15-year-olds. There you go. Oh, when I was in 4th grade, my friend, I was talking about my friend, the big dude, about 6'4", 250, he started like on the north side of Kalamazoo. He started football. There was no football before that. A little bit of the like the grade schools had it a little bit. I imagine, yeah, but not little boys, like not second, third, like that. He set up that in football. Like Greg Jennings has to thank this guy because if it wasn't for this guy, Kalamazoo wouldn't have had little boy football. And so he started that. Little boy football. And so my point was when I was in 4th grade, we didn't have enough 4th graders for the team. I was going to be the quarterback for the 4th graders. We didn't have enough people. So I had to play with the 6th graders in the games. And I played like guard or tackle, and that made me like to hit. I always liked to hit. I didn't mind playing guard or tackle, even though I was a quarterback. I liked to hit. So he started me over some 6th graders, 5th and 6th graders, because I would knock the shit out of somebody. And then when they told me how to pull, I loved that shit. I loved to pull. When they told me that, it's like had the pull play where I would pull to my left because I played right guard. I loved that shit. Like crack back. When I played in college, you could crack back people. We played the first year we played Mississippi Valley against Willie Totten, which was Jerry Rice's college quarterback. Willie Totten was a bad boy. All the records, NCAA passing records, was Willie Totten. Doug Flutie broke Willie Totten's record. But anyway, we was doing, you could still crack back. And I remember there was a safety when I would be flanked out, like I would be the flanker, so I'm off the line, and the safety would so it'd be a DB back, and then the safety would be right here. So the safety, like if I did a slant or something, it would be the safety to stop me. But also that safety was right there. And I remember one of the first plays of the game, we ran where I cracked back, and I knocked him off his feet. He didn't see me, and he turned. As soon as he turned, pow! And I mean, it looked beautiful on film. It just took him off his feet. So the rest of the game, when we was set up like that, dude was like this. He's looking at me. And so the tight end was able to get around him. He looked for me the rest of the game after that. And we kept running and he would avoid me. So it was like easy to, we beat them. They tried to cheat us. They tried to run 5 downs. And then they broke my boy's ankle. He got clipped. Yeah, it was nasty. I remember seeing the pins. Calvin Davis, the actor, this dude, the actor. Look up Calvin Davis. Handsome brother, beautiful brother. But he had his ankle destroyed down in Mississippi. He had to ride all the way back to North Carolina with a destroyed ankle. He had pins because when I had I got in a fight and broke my hand. So I had to go to the hospital to see if my hand was cured, and they was going to let me practice. And me and him went together. I remember they put both of our x-rays up. And his x-ray, he got 2 big screws in his ankle, like screws like this in his ankle. And he still would hoop with us once he got better. He played. I think he played the next year too. But his ankle was fucked up. So yeah, bigger boys. I had to start like that. It was either play with the older boys and don't get to play in the games. And that to me was no fun. So that was nothing to me. And then another way we used to get concussions, we had a thing where they put all these half tires together. You had to run through it. Every time you went through that shit, it gave people concussions. I know it did, because it used to give me concussions. And they made us do it. They called it the bull, and but yeah, it was a thing that would give you concussion. So I probably should be suing the school systems too. Shit, I think I'm in my suing the NCAA. I got 2 cases against them. It's been 3 years. And I thought last year they was going to pay me, and I got disappointed. Because I think I mentioned before I was about to buy this house. It was a hell of a deal. 7,000 square feet. The house was only like 700,000. My payout was supposed to be way more than that. You can't buy that house now. That house is 1.4. So it was like everything was perfect, but these motherfuckers didn't come up with it. So if they came up with anything, I could have put so much down. But it's like, yeah, without all that bread, no way I could afford it. So, but my lawyers was on some bullshit. I'll say that. They was on some bullshit. They telling me, yeah, the money's coming, start preparing, talking to the banks. And they bullshitted me then. So we'll see. So just, I love life, I love life. I still mess with my son, but it's like now he knows I can't really, like my arm is healing. And so I was like, he knows, don't hit me on my left arm, because my arm is not sprained. I'm not going to therapy because I told her my arm's not sprained. Hands are better with the braces. My hands, I've broken every finger. I mean, these. Like one reason I didn't hoop my freshman year is I broke this finger. No, I broke this finger messing around, getting in shape, playing basketball, and caught it, and it broke it. I mean, this finger was like this. It just swole. And so basketball had already started. They've been bugging me, asking me to come. Like I had to play the last week of practice with a big splint on my hand. I was still catching the ball. Because by the end of my freshman year, I was starting to figure everything out. But this finger was broke. And I couldn't hoop for a minute just because of that. When I did intramural, I had to wait because this finger was so cracked. So that's the thing of sports. You get older and you have injuries, because there's no way you play sports and you don't get hurt. There's just no way. No way. You just hope that you have more days not hurt than hurt. That's the same way with people that run, people that are active. You end up having these problems. Like I've been doing a lot of walking. I have plantar fasciitis. I'm starting to feel it, and it starts to feel like a knife is jabbed in your foot. I mean, it's really a intense kind of pain. And a lot of ways, the thing about plantar fasciitis is new shoes. So if you're a runner or you work out, break them shoes in, because that stiff new shoes can cause plantar fasciitis. So you get new shoes, break them in, walk around in them, before you work out in new shoes, break them in. Because I thought the opposite. I remember it was the John Walls. If you remember the Reebok John Walls, I thought I needed a new pair of shoes. When I got them new pair of stiff ass shoes, I could play 3 games, but soon as I stopped playing, I could barely walk. Now I could do the games while I'm doing them, but when I stopped, that was it. I was done. I could barely walk. My feet were hurt so bad. And come to find out, new shoes was one of the worst things I could have done. So if anybody works out, when you get new shoes, break them in. Don't go just jogging in new shoes. Break the shoes in, walking around, get them in, because you don't want that stiffness. And that's the thing. Well, I think I've been going for 3 hours. Now, tomorrow I'll be on between 5 and 7, hopefully 6. But look for me between 5 and 7. Central time. Let me say that. Central time. I'm on Central time. So I know it's going to be a little later. Probably 6 o'clock, though, if I can work it out. I have to go in town to pick up my son. So not sure what time I'm coming back. But if I can pick him up and come back, then I'll probably come on at 6. But I'm leaving at 4, so I'm going to run into a little traffic. So hopefully 6. Hopefully. But I will come on before, and then to report on the games tomorrow. So thank you for not dogging me too much about me losing Illinois. I still won money. I still won a couple games today. I'll have all the records and the stuff. I'll go over that tomorrow. There's the first game again, comes on Eastern at noon. For those of you, that still gets money. Thank you, Overstand. It's just living a life, guys. Yes, everyone be safe. Everyone be smooth. Love yourself. That's what I want to say. Love yourself. Everybody, love yourself. Don't think what other people, like me, I don't give a fuck what other people think about me. And that's really how you got to be. You got to be where you just don't care what other people think about you. And that doesn't mean you act any kind of way. That means you act the way you should act and the way you act. But don't care about others' impression of you. Be yourself. Don't care about how you do your hair, how you do whatever, how you dress. Wear the shit you like without any thought of anybody else. Just be you. Whatever you love about you, love that. Like, I'm the only motherfuckers wearing this lurking gear that's 60 years old or close to 60. I don't care. I like the shit. I like the shit, so I wear it. I don't, like, well, you're trying to wear young nigga shit. No, I like shit. I like this shit. So I don't care what anybody thinks. They need to, give me a few more than just stickers because I'm pumping this stuff. But I don't care. I don't care what people think. I like what I like. I go into the stores. They love me. Hey, hey, Brian, how you doing? This is what we got new. And the first one, they see this lurker gear, they take me to the lurking table, or they'll hold it for me. It's like, well, we got this stuff for you because they get double X's in and they hold that shit to see if I like it. Like, I had to take one back because they didn't make it in double X, but the shirt looked big. But I came home like, nah, I took it back. So don't care. Don't care what people think about you. As long as you are true to yourself and love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. I mean, there's no spiritualness without self-love. There's no spiritualness without you just being one with everything. All this is working for you. I mean, we are the universe. Ancestral Production put a thing a brother said and he's very right. It's like your skin. Your skin is just as much your brain. Your skin is just as much, I'm throwing that Kundalini to you. Your skin is just as much your heart as everything. Your skin is just as much your brain. I mean, we are such complicated individuals, complicated beings. Like when divineness was talking about the chakras and stuff, and I'm not really with that, but what she's saying is you can get everything moving so much inside of you that it just makes you spiritual. That's her point. It's like, if that's what it takes to imagine worlds on the ground, a world between your knees, a world in your crotch, a world in your chest, a world right here, and you get all that shit spinning, and if that's what's raising your Kundalini, if that's what it takes, go with it. The way I fuck with that shit, it ain't just a world right here, it's worlds all around me. I mean, I've had rooms where this shit is all, like, I got all these worlds moving, but we got so many chakras, that shit, they can't even count that shit. And I just be in just like my own galaxy with just worlds moving around me. And I mean, I couldn't even count it, but all that shit is just twirling. And it's like, it almost like you step into it. What does he say? I drive up in the demon like I'm God. It's almost that kind of feeling. And so that's what you are. We each have an atom bomb of energy. We each have some shit that the me or the my ain't. Our brains fuck with the machines. The machines can't be what our brains are. That's why all this fucked up food, that's why all this fucked up water. They want to take this computer greater than the computer away from each and every one of you. That's the fear that's going on now, to make you not feel that you are super. To make you feel like you ain't loved. Like, if you don't have all this bullshit and you don't drive the car, you don't have this, they may want to make you think like you ain't nothing. And that ain't the case. Everybody's unique. Everybody is unique. This ain't no good time feeling carnival or revival. It's real. It's real. You have to find the spiritualness in you. Because we are all spiritual people by just nature. And so if you need guides, your ancestors are always there. You are the son of a son of a son of a son. You are a daughter of a daughter of a daughter of a daughter. And it's just like with you. The magicians had where Julia was standing in line and she looked behind her, it was nothing but her. She looked in front of her, nothing but her. And this is the problem. When you have that and you stand in line, you see all yous, you make sure they all stand in line. Doesn't matter which you it is. Doesn't matter how low you ever was, you make them motherfuckers scoot up. If you see yourself and you see some back with their head down, motherfucker, you me. Step up here. You me, step up here. We all in one line. I'm carrying all this. I ain't separated. Ain't none of me that I ever was that I am ashamed of because I'm right here right now. And so when all of me's and all through space-time stand together, we stand together in one line. So don't let any of you stand back. Ain't no motherfucker perfect. Ain't nobody did it perfect. These motherfuckers rich ain't did everything perfect. And a lot of this rich shit ain't rich like they show you is rich. But if you are loved and you can love, you are rich. Because love is supreme. Love is supreme. The first thing you really should wake up is that you feel loved and you can love. And that you love the moment. That's the problem, is you got to love the moment. Because that's all we have. Everything is just moments. You can't anticipate how the moment's going to come. So the moment's disappointing. That's all. It's just a moment. It's just a moment. And yes, make every moment count. We're taught that every breath ain't important. Every breath is important. Every breath. Because it's only one breath at a time. So you have to get into it and say, shit, I am a bad motherfucker. I love myself. I love everything. And that's how I'm going to start my day, with love in my heart. And all that shit come by, you like Bruce Lee. You just knocking that shit off like this. Like Wonder Woman got that shit on her arm. That's how you doing everything. Just pushing that shit to keep the love. Which is right. Love or above. Don't ever let them drain your love meter. Keep that meter high when you wake up. And that's how you approach shit. Even motherfuckers you don't like. You love that they're there in that moment. And they may do fucked up shit, and you may have to move around them. You may have to move around them. So move around them. That's all you got to do. Move around them. But don't let other motherfuckers change what you are. Now, the loved one, if you are a solid person, you solid with or without them. I only got one really best friend. That's it. I've got motherfuckers I see, but my best friend been my best friend for 20 years. I'm going to bring him up 12 years. And, I don't fuck with a whole lot of people. I associate with people, but I don't fuck with a whole lot of people. But I tell you this, the people that didn't used to like me, they see I'm a solid motherfucker. They see that I'm solid. The same people that, conspired against me out of jealousy, now they know I'm solid and they trust me. And if I need help, they like, hey, matter of fact, I didn't even have to ask. They sent somebody to me. It was like, I heard you need some help. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. And they came and gave me some help. I didn't even have to ask. It was like, oh, we're sending so-and-so over. Because they know that I'm there for them. If there's anything they need, they know. Like if this shit went crazy with the shooting or whatever, these motherfuckers be calling me. They'd be calling me because they know I face danger. I face danger. I don't run from that shit. I don't fear anybody, even at this age. I don't fear anybody. I carry pistols most of the time too. The Richard Pryor joke. You go into a store and he's like, look, and I'm gonna rob you, or if you pick up the gun. And you notice like two dudes went in, and the friend looked at the guy at the store and said, don't grab that gun because he got another one behind his back. I'm that motherfucker. All right. Well, thank you. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I do appreciate each and every one of you because you have made this move in a way that I can only be thankful. So the people that see this in the future, thank you. The people that comment, thank you, because that helps the channel grow. And I appreciate it. And I know I got to get to the Crystal Place maybe tomorrow. I am going that direction. Yeah, I might have time to get a few pieces. If nothing else, I might just buy some more selenite. It'll be more like, where's the other piece? Oh, I don't see it. Oh, here it is. So I might go pick up some of these sticks tomorrow. If I have time, I'll pick up some of these sticks and maybe some sugar too. So this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I've been your host. 8 Wind is timeless. And as you all know, I always stop with an Eshon poem. I'm not a New York rapper or LA gang banger. I'm just an old school Detroit crack slinger. Till we meet again.